The giant hand struck the black jade tree, causing the entire tree to violently tremble. A strong wave erupted and smashed into Xiang Beifei, sending him flying. What bad luck! Xiang Beifei felt his blood and energy unstable. He extended his hand, transforming the breath soil into a chain, pulling both Era and little Yumeng over. He then flipped and leapt onto a large leaf, stabilizing himself. Once again, a terrifying aura rolled through the air, accompanied by a thunderous roar. A thick, massive pillar came crashing down towards Xiang Beifei. This giant pillar was gray, very coarse, with a diameter of over 10 meters, and emitted a gray-brown aura. But soon, he realized this was not a giant pillar at all but one of the giant spirit's fingers. Damn it! Xiang Beifei gasped and quickly leapt downward. Crash! The black jade tree's leaves trembled again when poked by this finger. But the finger didn't stop there. Wherever Xiang Beifei flew, the thick finger would follow and poke. If it hit him, it would be as easy as crushing an ant. He landed on a leaf, and even though it also trembled violently, he noticed a groove beneath the leaf, resembling a branch part. He quickly hid inside, using his orifice perception to conceal and disguise himself. The giant spirit suddenly lost its perception of Xiang Beifei, and the finger stopped, starting to search through the leaves. Li Qianluo? Xiang Beifei tried to communicate with Li Qianluo, but there was no response. Earlier, in the chaos, he and Li Qianluo got separated, and now he had no idea where she was. Xiaohei! Woof woof! Fortunately, he could still contact Xiaohei. Xiaohei remained on the tree scar, and the giant spirit couldn't see Xiaohei at all, so it remained relatively safe. Xiaohei attempted to control the tree scar but found no way to do so and called Xiang Beifei to come up. I can't get there. The big oaf is searching for me. Xiang Beifei responded in his mind. Here he couldn't traverse space. Even though he used orifice perception to disguise himself, any movement causing air to flow would expose him. Especially given the giant spirit's powerful perception, using spiritual power would render orifice perception ineffective. Swish! A pair of terrifying eyes swept through the leaves. Although somewhat vacant, they were massive, over 30 meters wide. The pupils were pitch black, resembling a black hole in the sky, impossible to escape once caught. The giant spirit shook its fingers, flipping through the leaves of the black jade tree, like trying to catch a bug, attempting to find Xiang Beifei. Suddenly Xiang Beifei had an idea and shouted, Xiaohei, come over and get the brick. When Li Qianluo was there, Xiang Beifei hadn't used the brick. But now, separated from her, he intended to try controlling the black jade tree with it. Woof woof! Xiaohei indicated that the tree scar was fundamentally different from the blood altar, with no sockets to be found. Then I'll have to try it myself. Xiang Beifei took out 2 bricks and gently tapped them together. Buzz! Golden array patterns immediately surrounded Xiang Beifei. He guided these patterns directly onto the tree trunk. The array patterns, like golden spider webs, slowly climbed up the black jade tree, clinging to the trunk and spreading towards the tree scar above. The giant spirit's fingers continued to fiddle with the black jade tree, searching for the hidden Xiang Beifei. His massive finger inadvertently touched the golden array patterns, which quickly drilled onto the finger. These patterns were formidable, capable of immobilizing anything, even spiritual power. After Xiang Beifei stepped into the heavenly connection realm, their power increased even more. Once the finger was entangled by the golden patterns, the giant spirit obviously realized something and began to pull its finger out. The golden patterns stretched like glue before snapping. It couldn't immobilize this behemoth, but Xiang Beifei didn't expect success. Given the massive size and terrifying strength of the giant spirit, using golden array patterns against it was impossible. The giant spirit also noticed the thin golden patterns and found them strange. Perhaps to it, its finger felt like it had been glued by the black jade tree. Curious, it leaned its massive face in again, examining the golden patterns spreading along the tree. Immediately, those gigantic eyes visibly contracted. Buzaza! The giant spirit roared loudly beside Xiang Beifei, The sound could overturn the sky, with sound waves sweeping through the air. Even though Xiang Beifei sealed his hearing, he couldn't endure it. It was a direct soul attack, the impact terrifying. Xiang Beifei felt uncomfortable being so close, but he quickly seized the opportunity with the giant spirit unaware and darted from beneath the large leaves of the black jade tree. Using the leaves for cover and orifice perception for protection, he ran swiftly and soon returned to Xiaohei's side. Woof woof! Xiaohei jumped onto Xiang Beifei's shoulder. Xiang Beifei immediately controlled the brick in his hand, channeling the golden formation patterns into the tree bark. Buzz! As the golden formation patterns enveloped the tree bark, suddenly a beam of blood light shot skyward, mixed with intertwining black and gold energies. Subsequently, the entire black jade tree ceased its trembling, and every vast black leaf glowed with blood-red veins. These densely packed red veins appeared eerie, as if they had been filled with Xiang Beifei's blood. Yet the veins quickly became covered with golden formation patterns, turning from red to a resplendent gold. The entire black jade tree presented a black-gold hue, emitting a mysterious aura, conveying a sense of nobility. Xiang Beifei suddenly felt a connection with the black jade tree, familiar with every leaf, every branch, every root of the 1,000-meter-high tree, as if he himself had become the black jade tree. Most importantly, the 77 branches engraved with mysterious glyphs. This time he could finally control the combination of these patterns. But Xiang Beifei didn't have time to study these patterns as there was still a giant spirit beside him shouting Zha loudly, and from afar came several exceedingly terrifying auras. They seemed to have heard their companions' call and were heading this way. Boom, boom, boom. The ground kept rumbling, and other giant spirits rushed over, totaling 7 or 8, soon surrounding the black jade tree. They were taller than the black jade tree, encircling it completely. Ba Zha Zha! The initially dull-witted giant spirit roared again. Tree Zha Zha! Another voice, deep like an ancient bell, responded. Leaf Zha Zha! Gold Zha Zha! A giant spirit with a slightly sharper voice pointed at the black jade tree, whose veins had turned gold, sounding very excited. The group of giant spirits stood by the black jade tree, speaking the Zha Zha language undecipherable to Xiang Beifei. The terrifying sound waves almost swept Xiang Beifei off the tree bark again. This is too terrifying. Xiang Beifei swallowed, feeling anxious but dared not release the formation patterns from the brick. The patterns, although terrible by the giant spirits, evidently restricted them slightly, serving as his sole protective barrier. Then, the giant spirits seemed to cease their arguments, squatting down, with 7 or 8 solemn faces searching among the tree branches. A brown, ancient-looking giant face soon spotted Xiang Beifei standing on the tree bark, unexpectedly extending a thick finger, pointing at Xiang Beifei, and joyfully shouting, Human Zha Zha! Xiang Beifei! Bah! You're the human Zha Zha. But this time, at least, they didn't poke him with a finger. Instead, they moved their face to the side, seemingly giving way. Subsequently, another rough-looking giant face approached, crisscrossed with massive furrows as if slashed by someone. However, Xiang Beifei soon realized that these furrows were likely wrinkles, belonging to an elderly giant spirit, also visible with a dense, white beard, each whisker thicker than Xiang Beifei's thigh. The elderly giant spirit's gaze was somewhat blurry, as Xiang Beifei appeared minuscule compared to them, smaller than a fingernail. The elderly giant spirit seemed to have poor eyesight, then took out a massive lens from somewhere, larger than his own eyes, and hung it in front of them. After a while, the elderly giant spirit looked at Xiang Beifei with curiosity, uttering in a profoundly old and robust voice, Human Zha Zha? Xiang Beifei? He still watched the giant spirits vigilantly. Being surrounded by such a terrifying group was far from good. Perhaps due to the sudden transformation of the black jade tree, the giant spirits found it fascinating and seemingly harbored less hostility towards Xiang Beifei. Many even sat down, circling the tree and examining him closely. The elderly giant spirit extended a finger towards Xiang Beifei's position on the tree bark, but didn't poke him. Instead, it halted by Xiang Beifei's feet, seemingly inviting him to step up. Xiang Beifei hesitated and exchanged a glance with Xiaohe. Woof! Maybe we can try communicating. After all, there are too many mysteries here. Having been trapped here for a month without a way out, perhaps the giant spirits knew something. Xiang Beifei put away the brick, and soon the golden leaf veins of the black jade tree disappeared, reverting it to its previous pitch-black appearance. Tree Zha. Seeing the golden formation patterns on the black jade tree vanish, the surrounding giant spirits again emitted various booming sounds, seemingly enthusiastically discussing something. Xiang Beifei decided to see if he could communicate with these giant spirits. If possible, he might be able to find out some information. With this thought, he stepped onto the old giant spirit's finger, but he remained on guard, ready to escape at any moment. After all, he had witnessed a giant spirit stuffing other E-tribe cultivators directly into its mouth as food. The old giant spirit saw Xiang Beifei come up, then withdrew his hand, lifting it to his nose to inspect Xiang Beifei closely. He sniffed lightly, seemingly trying to catch Xiang Beifei's scent, because Xiang Beifei had hidden himself using orifice perception, making it hard to be detected by smell. That sniff almost sucked Xiang Beifei into the large nostril due to the strong suction from the nose. Hey, watch your boundaries. Fortunately, Xiang Beifei quickly wrapped his breath soil around the old giant spirit's finger, firmly holding onto it to stabilize himself. The old giant spirit seemed to realize Xiang Beifei's dangerous situation, leaned back slightly, and said apologetically, "Apology, shoddy one." The sound wave was terrifying. Xiang Beifei nearly vomited blood. To prevent the old giant spirit from approaching to sniff him again, Xiang Beifei released his orifice perception and spread his aura to make himself perceptible to the other. As expected, the old giant spirit's murky eyes lit up slightly, and he said again, "Human shoddy one, I can't understand what you're saying." Xiang Beifei shouted. The old giant spirit blinked as if he hadn't clearly heard Xiang Beifei, moved him to his ear. Xiang Beifei could only shout into that giant black earhole again, "I don't understand you." But the old giant spirit still seemed unable to hear, glancing at the other giant spirits before exchanging looks, unsure how to communicate. After a moment, one of the giant spirits suddenly shouted at Xiang Beifei, "Water shoddy one." Everyone nodded, looking toward the old giant spirit, seemingly waiting for his response. The old giant spirit appeared thoughtful, nodding slightly after a moment. Seeing the old giant spirit agree, the giant spirit who spoke stood up immediately. Then Xiang Beifei saw him retrieve a huge ladle from a corner of the courtyard, made of stone, terrifyingly over 100 meters long, capable of scooping an entire pond. Then the giant spirit climbed over the city wall and ran outside. Thud! 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 The ground rumbled again, and from the direction of the sound, it seemed he was heading toward the Ruishui River bank. The giant spirit's approach to the Ruishui River frightened all the E-tribe cultivators. Many E-tribe cultivators had been trapped by their inability to cross the Ruishui River, finding a place by the riverbank to form factions, huddling together for warmth. They never expected the giant spirits to come there, but suddenly seeing a massive figure charging at them with a giant ladle was a huge shock. All the E-tribe cultivators were scared out of their wits, fleeing hastily along the Ruishui River bank, afraid of being caught by the giant spirit and eaten if they tarried. However, the giant spirit didn't care about these cultivators at all, moving to the riverbank and scooping water from the Ruishui River with the large ladle. This action stunned the E-tribe cultivators. They knew that the weak water of the Ruishui River had a deadly, mysterious swallowing force for cultivators, dragging anything into it and completely eroding it once it fell in. But who could have imagined that here, the giant spirit could scoop up the water, seemingly with ease. The giant spirit quickly ran back to the village with the river water-laden ladle. A distance of over 100 kilometers was a matter of seconds for him, as he handed the ladle filled with weak water to the old giant spirit. The old giant spirit carried Xiang Beifei into the house, followed by other giant spirits, while those left stayed outside to guard. Then the old giant spirit gently placed Xiang Beifei onto the ground and himself drank the weak water from the Ruishui River. He dare drink this? Xiang Beifei was incredibly astonished. He perceived the terrifying nature of the Ruishui River even when contained in the ladle. The dreadful aura made him wary, but he didn't expect the giant spirit to drink the weak water so boldly. After drinking the river water, the old giant spirit frowned slightly, as the taste was evidently unpleasant. He handed the water ladle to a robust-looking giant spirit beside him, who also drank the weak water before setting the ladle aside. However, besides them, none of the other giant spirits drank. Soon after, the tall bodies of these two giant spirits made creaking noises, like bones squeezing against each other. Bones, hair, skin all started wriggling. Then, Xiang Beifei saw the 1,000-meter-tall old giant spirit's body gradually shrink. This bizarre transformation left Xiang Beifei utterly amazed. The old giant spirit's head, limbs, and body shrank in proportion over 2 or 3 minutes, the 1,000-meter giant slowly reducing to just over 3 meters tall, which was absolutely startling to see. After shrinking, the old giant spirit waved his hand, gathering a thick fog around him that condensed into a coarse cloth to cover himself. The shrunken old giant spirit appeared a bit scrawny, but he looked spirited, finally able to see what Xiang Beifei looked like, scrutinizing him with intrigue. And another shrunken giant spirit appeared younger, standing guard beside the old giant spirit with a watchful expression, seemingly protecting him. Human Shoddy One. The old giant spirit nodded slightly, sitting cross-legged on the ground, though even sitting, he was nearly as tall as Xiang Beifei standing. I can't understand your words, Xiang Beifei said, but I can learn if you tell me what your shoddy language means. The old giant spirit and the young giant spirit exchanged a look, appearing to ponder something. I understand your words. The old giant spirit spoke in a very fluent language. He spoke very standard. Xiang Beifei was momentarily stunned and then breathed a sigh of relief. Everyone understands Zhuzhou language. The ancients did not deceive me. My name is Xiang Beifei, from the human race, Xiang Beifei said. I know, human shoddy one. The old giant spirit laughed. Xiang Beifei felt a wave of silent complaints in his heart. He always felt like he was being scolded again. Why do you all have to add scum when you talk? Xiang Beifei couldn't help but ask. The old giant spirit stroked his white beard and said very frankly, because in our eyes you're all as small as scum. Xiang Beifei was speechless for a moment. Indeed, the giant spirit race was too tall, with heights reaching thousands of meters. All other races appeared tiny as specks of dust before them. My name is Father Pu, the clan leader of the giant spirit race, the old giant spirit said with a broad smile. Father Pu? The name seemed very familiar. It's been a long time since I've seen the human race, the old giant spirit said, looking at Xiang Beifei. What did you use to awaken it? Seeking wood. You awakened the god tree seeking wood, the old giant spirit said, pointing at the towering black jade tree outside that blocked out the sky for miles. Was that tree called Seeking Wood? Xiang Beifei seemed to have heard about something like Seeking Wood before. A woo. Era was confused beside him. If this was wood, why couldn't he control it? Yu Meng Yu. Little Yu Meng interjected, expressing that since it was a god tree, not being able to control it was quite normal. A woo. Era felt offended, flicked his tail, causing the leaf on top of little Yoming's head to curl up and cover its eyes. Era howled proudly twice more, indicating that while he couldn't control Seeking Wood, he could control little Yumeng. Little Yumeng angrily extended its branch-like arms to push the leaf away from its eyes, grumbling a couple of complaints. Xiang Beifei didn't bother with these two and instead asked, Is the god tree Seeking Wood very important to you? It's the only god tree that matches our stature, the old giant spirit said. Giants match giant trees, it fits. Anyway, Xiang Beifei had never seen anything taller than these two. Even the big fellow he saw near Chun Ho last time wasn't as tall as the giant spirit and Seeking Wood. But Xiang Beifei always felt the old giant spirit wasn't being truthful. You still haven't told me what you used to control Seeking Wood, the old giant spirit said. With my blood, Xiang Beifei replied, not intending to mention the brick incident. Your blood. The old giant spirit examined Xiang Beifei, asking, "Why?" "Good question." Xiang Beifei shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe because of my thick skin." The old giant spirit laughed. Young people are interesting. When he laughed, he looked no different from an elderly human, seemingly having a cheerful personality. After laughing, the old giant spirit blinked his aged, cloudy eyes and said meaningfully, "I know you're not telling the truth." Xiang Beifei raised an eyebrow. "You should have 5 pieces of stone, at least 2 of them," the old giant spirit said. Xiang Beifei felt a slight caution rising in his heart. This old man knew about the 5 pieces of stone, and he knew Xiang Beifei had 2 of them. The old giant spirit stroked his beard and continued to laugh. "Now I have to verify something, which will determine whether you leave here alive." Xiang Beifei felt a hitch in his heart. This old man was somewhat mysterious. Even if he had intentions to kill, he still remained so relaxed. But Xiang Beifei stayed calm and didn't panic. "What is it?" "One of the bricks you hold comes from an old friend of mine, I can tell. Usually, he wouldn't just throw something like that around, so did you kill him to obtain this brick?" the old giant spirit asked. Xiang Beifei calmly replied, "If you ask like that, even if I killed him and stole it, I wouldn't admit it, would I?" "Ha ha ha." The old giant spirit laughed heartily again. "That's indeed the case. You're right. I can't argue with that." He still looked very cheerful, not angry at all, and kindly observed Xiang Beifei from head to toe. "So, is your grandfather still alive?" the old giant spirit asked. Xiang Beifei was slightly stunned. "What does this mean?" Xiang Beifei was quite surprised. He didn't understand why the old giant spirit asked such a strange question all of a sudden. "I can perceive it." The old giant spirit's cloudy eyes looked at Xiang Beifei, then lightly twitched his nose and smiled. "Our giant spirit race has a very strong perception, much stronger than you can imagine. Just now you had the ability to shield yourself, but now I can smell the bloodline scent on you, your age, and some very special things on you." The giant spirit was tall and terrifyingly powerful, with first-class senses and smell. After Xiang Beifei actively released his aura, the old giant spirit already extracted a lot of information from him. "So, who do you think my grandfather is, senior?" Xiang Beifei asked. The old giant spirit smiled faintly and said, "Taoist Qingda." Xiang Beifei frowned. Can that even be recognized? Most importantly, the old giant spirit actually knows his grandfather. "You carry his bloodline," the old giant spirit said, twirling his beard. "Since the senior perceived that I am his grandson, why would you think I killed him to seize the brick?" Xiang Beifei calmly asked. "Because your use of the 5 pieces of stone is very clumsy. If he wanted to give them to you, he should have taught you properly on how to use them more appropriately. Therefore, I think there are only a few possibilities. Either you killed and plundered, after all, there are too many family feuds over treasures nowadays, or something happened to him, and he didn't have the chance to tell you what the 5 pieces of stone is, leaving you only 1 piece, and you have to figure out how to use it on your own, but haven't fully understood it yet." The old giant spirit had only seen Xiang Beifei perform the golden array pattern once and was able to analyze it quite accurately. His deductions were almost spot on, which made Xiang Beifei very impressed. After a moment, the old giant spirit asked, "So did something happen to him?" Xiang Beifei remained silent for a moment, then decided not to hide anymore and said, "He lost his memory, probably around 30 years ago, during the time of my birth. He even randomly tossed this brick away, without knowing what it meant. He took out the brick, gesturing at it. Originally, this brick came out of the failed system of grandfathers. Grandfather didn't know what the brick was, so he tossed it onto the ground without caring, and it was picked up by Xiao Sheng. In hindsight, this was quite a coincidence." "Lost his memory?" The old giant spirit seemed a bit surprised, as if something crossed his mind, sparking deep thoughts. "May I take a look?" The old giant spirit pointed to the brick in Xiang Beifei's hand. Xiang Beifei hesitated but handed over the brick. The old giant spirit held the 2 bricks, gently tapping them together. Golden array patterns appeared on the bricks, but as the patterns extended along his hands, It was apparent that the golden array had limitations on the old giant spirit. But the old giant spirit flicked his finger lightly, and the golden array was stripped off. He observed for a while before handing the brick back to Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei took back the 2 bricks and continued to ask, "How did you know my grandfather, Senior?" "I met him at Edge Corner Airspace," the old giant spirit said. Edge Corner Airspace. Xiang Beifei's expression grew slightly solemn. This was a place he had frequently heard about but could not reach. Almost all the E-tribe cultivators who came here knew of Edge Corner Airspace, and they were aware of the dangers there. For E-tribe cultivators, it was a forbidden place, extremely dangerous, a unanimously acknowledged fact. Grandfather indeed went to Edge Corner Airspace. "May I ask about the past with my grandfather, Senior?" Xiang Beifei was eager to know. "You can ask," the old giant spirit smiled. "But I won't answer." "Why?" "I won't answer any questions about Edge Corner Airspace." The old giant spirit shook his head. "It's not a place that makes me feel pleasant." Curiously, although the old giant spirit didn't like Edge Corner Airspace, his tone didn't sound particularly repulsive, as if he were merely recounting some unrelated tale. "Your tone doesn't seem to dislike that place much, Senior," Xiang Beifei said. The old giant spirit looked up at Xiang Beifei and said, "That place is my hometown, but I live here now. Unless absolutely necessary, who would willingly leave their homeland? I don't hate it, yet I don't want to mention it either." "Understood." Xiang Beifei didn't pursue the subject further. Tugging at someone's sad points generally wasn't a good idea. "Since you say my method of using the 5 pieces of stone is clumsy, can you teach me then?" Xiang Beifei asked again. The old giant spirit laughed once more. "Just because I see it doesn't mean I can do it. When he used it, it was quite deft, and the power far exceeded your current level. At least when you 2 use the 5 pieces of stone, it's not on the same level. When he used 2 bricks, he could trigger phenomena in heaven and earth, but when you use them, it's like playing in the mud." Xiang Beifei was speechless. Despite having used 2 bricks to beat quite a few cultivators, in the old giant spirit's eyes, it turned out to be like a child playing in the mud. Until now, no one taught him how to use the 5 pieces of stone, and he wasn't even sure where the other 3 stones were located. He felt he was doing pretty well considering the level he achieved with just 2 bricks. "He had 2 but only gave you 1. Where did you get the other 1?" the old giant spirit asked. Xiang Beifei was surprised. "My grandfather had 2 bricks too?" "Yes, the strange thing is that one of the tiles actually shattered. Only an extremely powerful divine force can do that. Just don't know where they got the 5 pieces of stone fragments," the old giant spirit said. "Who are they?" Xiang Beifei asked further. Xiang Beifei was clear about the hardness of the tile. Saying it was indestructible was not an exaggeration. What kind of force could possibly destroy it? The old giant spirit laughed. "The girl with you, she has fragments of the 5 pieces of stone on her body, and there's a E-tribesman by the river with fragments too. I can smell the aura of the 5 pieces of stone. The fragments they hold, combined, are part of what your grandfather once held. There's no mistaking the aura. The other piece is with you. Li Qianluo actually possesses fragments of the tile, and they're from grandfather's tile fragments." Xiang Beifei started paying attention to this matter. Where did she get her fragments? He needs to figure out this issue. This broken tile is very likely to unlock the mystery of grandfather's amnesia. Maybe the place where it shattered is where grandfather lost his memory. "Who is the other E-tribesman?" Xiang Beifei asked. "As one gets old, the eyes don't work well, I couldn't see clearly." "Feng, who was that E-tribesman?" The old giant spirit turned to ask the giant spirit who had been standing beside him. "Emo Zatsa." The giant spirit who had been silent replied. Xiang Beifei had already realized who it was. Emo Zatsa, definitely from the demon race, most likely the night demon. Turns out this guy also has fragments of the 5 pieces of stone. It seems both Night Demon and Li Qianluo should have visited the place where grandfather was, otherwise they wouldn't have the 5 pieces of stone fragments. The old giant spirit paused, saying, "There should be one more in Common Valley. In the past, when I passed through Common Valley, I smelled it. At that time I told your grandfather, thinking he would seek it. Perhaps he really did seek it. The old giant spirit stroked his beard and said, "Could it be that something happened to him in Common Valley? Is Common Valley also in the Edge Corner airspace?" Xiang Beifei asked. "I don't like it there." The old giant spirit didn't want to say a single word more about that place. But Xiang Beifei made a note of the place. "Senior doesn't seem to care much about us practitioners by the Blackwater River." The old giant spirit laughed happily. "Rubbish. All right." Xiang Beifei felt quite helpless. Probably in the eyes of the giant spirit race, their presence here was just trivial, mostly little rubbish, not causing any waves. As long as they don't roam around their village, the giant spirits wouldn't interfere with these practitioners. After a while, the old giant spirit said again, "I have one more question for you to answer." "What question?" "Is the Yu divine steel also left to you by your grandfather?" the old giant spirit asked. "Yu divine steel." Xiang Beifei's heart skipped a beat. He hesitated for a moment, waving his hand, and a primitive-looking steel emerged, floating in midair. Is Senior referring to this? At the moment this steel appeared, the young giant spirit beside immediately became alert, standing beside the old giant spirit and staring intensely at the steel. "Trash!" He angrily glared at Xiang Beifei, clenched his fist, and emanated a fierce aura, ready to strike Xiang Beifei at any time. "Feng, back down, he won't use this against us." The old giant spirit gestured his hand to indicate stepping back, then looked at Xiang Beifei. "You won't, right?" "No." Xiang Beifei shook his head. Even if he had the ability, he wouldn't. The old giant spirit, for now, seemed friendly, most importantly, had a connection with grandfather. This alone would prevent him from forcing people. The young giant spirit reluctantly restrained his aura, but still stood half a step in front of the old giant spirit, closely watching Xiang Beifei to prevent him from using the Yu divine steel. Actually, he was overthinking it. Xiang Beifei had tried many means but couldn't activate the power of the Yu divine steel. Up till now, the Yu divine steel was just an ordinary stone tablet. Xiang Beifei recalled what Li Qianluo had said and asked, "So the legend is true? Your giant spirit race was once suppressed in the Bitter Sea? Suppressed by this steel, the Yu divine steel?" "That's not a pleasant memory," the old giant spirit said. "Can I ask the reason?" Xiang Beifei asked. The old giant spirit shook his head. "I can only tell you, the Yu divine steel that suppressed our giant spirit race was moved by your grandfather. Back then, he helped us escape the Bitter Sea, and it seems he later entrusted this steel to you." Upon hearing this, Xiang Beifei realized something was not quite right, because this Yu divine steel was not given to him by grandfather, but came from the Spirit Gathering Book. He glanced at Xiaohe, who also shook his head, indicating he was unaware. The old giant spirit examined the Yu divine steel in Xiang Beifei's hand. The runic patterns on the steel were identical to those carved on the black jade tree of Seeking Wood. Only the sequence varied. "These are divine inscriptions." The old giant spirit pointed at the carvings on the Yu divine steel, and his cloudy gaze suddenly revealed a strange light, quite sentimental. "You can understand this as the script of the gods, different from any writing you know. It contains an ancient and powerful force. Each divine inscription is unique and extraordinarily profound." Xiang Beifei had no doubt about its power. How could the divine inscriptions that suppressed the giant spirit race in the Bitter Sea be anything ordinary? What is its relation to Seeking Wood? Why are the divine inscriptions on the steel the same as those inscribed on the branches of Seeking Wood? Xiang Beifei asked. "Seeking Wood is our giant spirit race's guardian tree, and the Yu divine steel was once buried beneath it, together recording the ancient divine path." The old giant spirit reached out to touch those words, but hesitated halfway, retracting his hand with a somber expression. "We can never return." His voice sounded forlorn, almost as if he were muttering to himself. Xiang Beifei did not interrupt, simply observing the old giant spirit quietly. He could sense the longing and helplessness hidden behind the old giant spirit's weathered face, a sorrow and regret born from the loss of homeland. Like Taoist Qingyang, who once chose to stand alone to protect the Hanxia human race, Their encounters seemed quite similar. Apologies. I lost myself for a moment. The old giant spirit soon smiled again, a gentle smile, seemingly having come to terms with these matters and not dwelling in the past. Senior Giant Spirit, if you prefer not to discuss the Edge Corner airspace, at least tell me, what kind of place is this Bone Mountain Desert Stone Cave? Xiang Beifei inquired. You can understand it as a teleportation array leading to the Edge Corner airspace. Under the protection of the teleportation array, one won't be killed by the aura of the Edge Corner airspace. Without sufficient strength, you cannot traverse the Edge Corner airspace. The old giant spirit explained. From here, one can directly go to the Edge Corner airspace? Xiang Beifei was surprised. Once possible, but not anymore. Why? Because I sealed it, using the Ruishui River of the Bitter Sea to close off the teleportation array. The old giant spirit said, viewing it lightly with a smile. I don't want any more entanglements with that place. Surviving is the best. Seems like we came for nothing, Xiang Beifei said helplessly. The so-called divine inheritance was actually a form of protective talisman to enter the Edge Corner airspace, but now it's impossible. All E-Trib cultivators who come here generally return empty-handed. That's not necessarily the case. Why? Those others came in vain, but you are the grandson of my old friend. Regardless, I must grant you a fortune. Meeting is fate, lest your grandfather calls me stingy. The old giant spirit laughed. Xiang Beifei's expression brightened. Having such a grandfather is simply a blessing. Thank you, senior. No need. Don't resist. Just comprehend. The old giant spirit extended his aged finger, touching the center of Xiang Beifei's forehead. A peculiar aura flowed from the old giant spirit's finger into Xiang Beifei's mind, and Xiang Beifei felt as if many things were suddenly imbued within. Each divine inscription transformed into streams of light, integrating into Xiang Beifei's forehead, interweaving swiftly in his mind. Each divine inscription pattern was incredibly mysterious. Upon close examination, it seemed as if each pattern contained a vibrant world, with countless wondrous shadows flickering within those worlds. But when Xiang Beifei tried to look closer, he found everything returned to calm, the divine inscription patterns remaining just as patterns, as if nothing had happened. You don't need to ponder for now. The script of heaven isn't something that is simply explained to you. It holds its own divine path within. A divine inscription viewed from different angles represents different meanings, and its power also varies. The old giant spirit's voice echoed in Xiang Beifei's ears, resolving his confusion before continuing. I'll teach you how to recognize divine inscriptions. You possess a Taoist body, so even with heavenly connection level strength, you can comprehend them. Each divine inscription understood will grant you powerful strength, but how well you comprehend them depends on you. These are not ordinary scripts. No wonder Xiang Beifei hadn't been able to learn them through learning by analogy. I understand now. Xiang Beifei calmed his mind and began to recognize each divine inscription as taught by the old giant spirit. By the Blackwater River. It's been 4 days since the giant spirit rushed to the riverbank to scoop water. In these 4 days, the E-Tribe Taoist practitioners have gradually calmed down from their initial panic. They probably realized that the giant spirit's water scooping event was a coincidence, not indicative of any major event. Some E-Tribe Taoist practitioners speculated that the giant spirit might have scooped water for cooking or perhaps for bathing. This made them increasingly fearful of the giant spirit's power, being able to disregard this deadly black water completely, treating it like simple drinking water, judging from the large ladle they used. Keep in mind that if any of these Taoist practitioners were to directly touch the black water, they would die instantly without any chance for rescue. This was a lesson learned with the lives of countless Taoist practitioners recently. Fortunately, the giant spirit's water scooping incident didn't cause any casualties, allowing everyone to relax. However, in the following few days, people quickly discovered something was amiss. Xiang Beifei from Zhajiang Stronghold was missing. This is a bombshell news. Be aware that Xiang Beifei is currently the hope of all E-Tribe Taoist practitioners for obtaining the divine inheritance. They have been waiting for Xiang Beifei to decipher the pattern of day and night transitions. then lead everyone to find the divine inheritance and leave this place. Yet Xiang Beifei suddenly disappeared. According to a rumor from an unknown source, Xiang Beifei wasn't training in Zhajiang Stronghold or Light Valley. He seemed to have gone to the giant spirit village and never came back. Moreover, Taoist practitioners saw Li Qianluo sneaking off to the giant spirit village repeatedly in these days, apparently searching for Xiang Beifei, but returning empty-handed each time, looking quite distraught. Everyone began to speculate about what might have happened to Xiang Beifei during those days. Some said he met misfortune at the giant spirit village, while others suggested he was killed by the giant spirit. Coupled with the giant spirit's water-scooping incident from a few days ago, rumors began to swirl more vividly. The three factions of Ghost Mustache of Remnant Visage, Moon God Race, and Demon Race wouldn't miss such a golden opportunity. They had already planned to team up against Zhajiang Stronghold, and now began to stir the pot, spreading increasingly sinister rumors. In the end, the story evolved into this. Xiang Beifei, arrogant as ever, went to the giant spirit village to provoke them, angering the giant spirit who caught him, and deliberately scooped water from the Blackwater River to cook him as an act of vengeance. The only fact that people are now certain of is that Xiang Beifei likely died at the hands of the giant spirit. What a pity! I joined Zhajiang Stronghold back then hoping Xiang Beifei would lead us to find the divine inheritance. As it turns out, not only did we fail to find the inheritance, Xiang Beifei ended up finding his way to the netherworld. Who'd disagree? Although he is formidable, he overestimated himself. Shouldn't have gone looking for trouble with the giant spirit. But it's good that he's dead. Lord Qi once said that the divine inheritance would only be entrusted to a destined Taoist ally. Now that he's dead, we'll have one less competitor. Perhaps the divine inheritance will favor us? Maybe I am the chosen one blessed with great fortune. Haha, I think the same. Yesterday, Lord Qi said that given the current situation, anyone among us Taoist practitioners has a chance at a great fortune. But Xiang Beifei isn't so lucky anymore. Those holding these thoughts were mostly Taoist practitioners from Dawn Alliance and Light Valley. They were firm in their stance, devoutly following Ghost Mustache of Remnant Visage or Meat-Winged Monster, and were very dismissive of Xiang Beifei. Meanwhile, the three leaders of Demon Tentacle races High Priest Shuang, Flaming Six Wings, and Night Demon gathered once more to discuss the current affairs. The unexpected disappearance of Xiang Beifei caught them off guard, causing their plans to be shelved. They initially intended to find an excuse to jointly confront Xiang Beifei, pressuring him to reveal the whereabouts of the human race, thereafter taking what they needed. One taking the body, and another taking the Dao embryo. However, Xiang Beifei was unexpectedly missing. "What do you think about Xiang Beifei?" the high priest inquired. "It has been confirmed. Xiang Beifei indeed met trouble in the giant spirit village," Night Demon replied. Flaming Six Wings' gaze turned icy cold. "He died just like that. He got off too easy." He hadn't yet avenged the seizure of Light Valley's territory, and now things went awry, making it impossible for him to swallow his anger. The high priest coughed violently twice, then spoke grimly. "I don't believe he's dead. Maybe he just went into hiding or is investigating something. He's probably dead, considering Li Qianluo's actions these last few days. Xiang Beifei has definitely encountered trouble. The giant spirit's power isn't trivial. Even if the three of us combined couldn't take down one giant spirit, how could he face a group of them?" Flaming Six Wings had quite an apprehension towards the giant spirit. That's true. When the giant spirit came to scoop water, the terrifying screams from the village were truly horrifying. Perhaps they discovered Xiang Beifei had intruded, so they used the river water against him. The high priest remarked, "No matter what, with one less person, we have one less opponent. If we manage to find the divine inheritance jointly, we won't have to compete with him. This is indeed a good thing." Flaming Six Wings said. By the way, Zhajiang Stronghold's still there, with quite a few Taoist practitioners following Li Qianluo. This is the best time to destroy Zhajiang Stronghold. Night Demon showed little interest in Xiang Beifei. What he cared about were the 5 small saint stone fragments in Li Qianluo's possession. All right, continue as planned. Flaming Six Wings now wanted to reclaim all that had been lost completely. Late at night, territory of the Dawn Alliance. The Shonto race is a rather peculiar-looking race. Their bodies and limbs are undoubtedly like humans, but there are very distinct differences. They have no heads on their shoulders. Instead, above the shoulders is a flat surface, similar to having been beheaded. In reality, their heads are located on their chests. Because their heads are at the front, they can't keep an eye on the back, so their back's defensive power is extremely strong, covered in a layer of hard black armor. Usually, when they fight against other members of the E-tribe, they don't need to worry about their backs. In this time standoff at the Land of Inheritance, the Shonto race chose to seek shelter under the Dawn Alliance. They currently belong to the Dawn Alliance. Tonight, it is the Shonto race's turn for patrol duty. Master, shall we take a break here? A young cultivator of the Shonto race walked along the Blackwater riverbank, stretched lazily, and sat on a rock by the riverbank, yawning. How can you be so slack during patrol? A slightly older Shonto race cultivator reprimanded. The older cultivator's name is Guan Chenqing, an expert at the early stage of the Heavenly Connection realm and a leader of the Shonto race. Because of the giant spirit threats, experts at the Heavenly Connection level also need to be scheduled for duty, making it fair for everyone. Accompanying him on patrol today is his apprentice, Guan Baishan, at the orifice transforming initial stage. Master, it's completely pointless for us to patrol so hard. No one dares to cause trouble here anymore, and it's almost dawn. Those giant spirits won't come, and we've already done a round of patrol. Why not take a break? Guan Baishan said with a lazy attitude. You always think about being lazy. Guan Chenqing glared at Guan Baishan, then looked at the pitch-black surroundings, hesitated and said, then rest for a quarter of an hour. All right. Guan Baishan took out some wine, took a sip and asked, Master, do you want some? No. Guan Chenqing still looked quite serious. Then I'll drink. Guan Baishan chuckled and took a big swig. He wiped the wine from his mouth and then asked, Master, I feel like something is quite complicated this time. What do you think about Xiang Beifei's issue? Though they joined the Dawn Alliance led by the Demon Tentacle race, they kept an eye on the Zhajiang stronghold. After all, this cooperation is only temporary. Everyone wants to find a suitable camp. He's a cultivation genius. Looking across all races, there probably aren't many who can surpass him. It must be said that the cultivators from the Kangji Abyss are truly formidable. Guan Chenqing evaluated Xiang Beifei highly. Indeed, if it weren't for our slight conflict with the Tianmu race, we would have joined Zhajiang stronghold back then. Guan Baishan remarked. Don't speak recklessly, Guan Chenqing reproached solemnly. Since we've already joined the Dawn Alliance, don't entertain second thoughts. Just do your duty well. Master, why did you choose to join the Dawn Alliance at the time? Guan Baishan asked. Many years ago, in the wilderness, I inadvertently saved Elder Yu of the Demon Tentacle race's life. At that time, you hadn't even entered the Heavenly Connection realm. Now, she is trapped here and came to invite me, and I agreed, Guan Chenqing explained. Yu is the cracked-mouth lady of the Demon Tentacle race. Her current strength has already surpassed Guan Chenqing's, not weaker than the split-head man of the past. That's why Guan Chenqing didn't refuse when invited by the cracked-mouth lady. I see, otherwise we might have had another choice. There's no use thinking about other things. Xiang Beifei has already met with a mishap. Thinking about those things is pointless. That's true. What a pity for such a genius. To die at the hands of the giant spirits, Guan Baishan lamented. At this moment, there was a sudden rustling sound from the Blackwater riverbank, as if something was crawling on the ground. They both immediately became alert. What's that noise? Guan Chenqing stood up at once, looking into the darkness. Should we go take a look? It might be a giant spirit, Guan Baishan asked quietly. I'll go check it out, you stay here and don't move. Guan Chenqing cautiously leapt forward, walking along the wooded riverbank, quickly disappearing into the darkness. Guan Baishan, not as powerful as his master, stood watching from a distance. Just then, A voice filled with shock and anger came from the forest, accompanied by a strong wave of spiritual power. Among it was Guan Qianqing's voice angrily rebuking, Fu Qiuzi, what are you doing? He, what am I doing? Naturally, killing you. Since you've run into me, you certainly won't leave alive. Another voice vaguely came from the darkness. No, you're not. You're. D. Boom. A violent aura exploded. Hearing this sound, Guan Baishan, waiting in place, was startled. Master! He hurriedly ran in the direction of the sound, but he hadn't taken 2 steps when suddenly something rolled over from the darkness, landing right at Guan Baishan's feet. At this time, dawn had arrived, and a glimmer of light appeared on the horizon. Guan Baishan looked down, and upon seeing it, his eyes nearly burst in anguish. It was the head of his master, Guan Qianqing. Guan Qianqing's head had been chopped off, and blood was gushing from the severed neck, his eyes wide open, and there seemed to be an expression of disbelief still on his face, even with a hint of confusion in his pupils. Master! Guan Baishan shouted in fear. At that moment a shadow shot out of the woods. Guan Baishan focused on it, and immediately clenched his fists. He recognized that figure. Fu Qiuzi. Guan Baishan was trembling all over. Behind a cliff, Shuang, the high priest, was standing there, the dawn wind whipping their robes with a fierce sound. Then a figure quickly soared up from below the cliff and landed beside him. High priest, the split-mouthed woman said respectfully. Shuang, the high priest, kept coughing, casting his gaze over the split-mouthed woman, and said, Is the matter resolved? Yes. I secretly destroyed Guan Qianqing's orifice soul as well, and he is thoroughly dead, the split-mouthed woman replied. I recall he saved your life, Shuang said slowly. The split-mouthed woman chuckled lightly and said, I don't have much gratitude. As long as I can pave the way for the high priest's plans, even if he saved me, I would still kill him. Who told him to have a grudge with Fu Qiuzi of the Tianmu race? Shuang nodded slightly and then coughed violently again. A moment later, the split-mouthed woman asked, High priest, I don't understand. Xiang Beifei is already dead. Why do we still have to stir this trouble? The current target is Li Qianluo. Li Qianluo's origin is unknown, but she definitely knows some secrets about Xiang Beifei, said Shuang, the high priest. At that moment, another figure leapt over. It was Fu Qiuzi. High priest, Fu Qiuzi said respectfully. Did anyone else see you? Shuang asked. Yes, clan members on duty from the Zhexiong tribe and the Mirror Eye tribe saw me too. The Mirror Eye tribe should have recorded it, Fu Qiuzi replied. All right, you don't need to maintain this appearance. He will be here soon, said Shuang, the high priest. Understood. Fu Qiuzi's figure suddenly began to twist and quickly transformed into a sly young man. This person was not Fu Qiuzi at all, but a master of the transforming clan. I take my leave. The transforming clan's young man chuckled and disappeared on the cliff. Meanwhile, far away, a heart-wrenching shout from Guan Baishan echoed, High priest! High priest! I beg you to avenge my master. Finally here. Shuang laughed coldly. By the Blackwater River, everyone had set rules. Openly, private fights were not allowed. To act against Zhejiang stronghold, there had to be an excuse. Though Guan Qianqing of the Shengtou race joined their Demon Tentacle race's Dawn Alliance and had saved the split-mouthed woman's life, becoming a benefactor to her rebirth, and Guan Qianqing was diligent in his regular duties. However, it did not prevent the high priest from ordering the split-mouthed woman to kill Guan Qianqing. Just because the Shengtou race where Guan Qianqing belonged had a grudge with the Tianmu race where Fu Qiuzi belonged. It was the perfect target to frame. Within Zhejiang's stronghold, Li Qianluo dragged her chin in distress, her expression very gloomy. Fu Qiuzi stood next to her, looking very anxious. They had just returned from the giant spirit village but still hadn't found Xiang Beifei. I can't believe the master with such powerful strength would meet trouble, Fu Qiuzi said. I don't quite believe it either. I've secretly gone many times these days, but I still haven't found him, Li Qianluo said. At the time of the Black Jade Tree, the giant spirit suddenly appeared, scattering her and Xiang Beifei. She had been trying to contact Xiang Beifei, but failed repeatedly. The giant spirit glared at her menacingly, pursuing her relentlessly, forcing her to withdraw along the wall crevices. But when she intended to find Xiang Beifei again, he was already gone, and the black jade tree returned to normal. No matter how she searched, she couldn't find Xiang Beifei. Damn it! I thought he was resilient. How could he end up in trouble? Li Qianluo looked very annoyed. How about I go and search again? Fu Qiuzi suggested. Don't go. Those giant spirits are tough. Even I can't handle them, Li Qianluo said. Fu Qiuzi sighed, seemingly unable to accept this fact, and said, Clearly, the master is very adept at dealing with giant spirits. How could he find trouble? Li Qianluo didn't respond, merely drawing circles on the ground in frustration with a small stone, muttering, Such a reckless fool! If I had known, I wouldn't have taken you there. The more she spoke, the more frustrated she became. But just then, a noisy sound came suddenly from outside the valley, accompanied by a few extremely powerful spiritual power waves that were not disguised at all, startling the two of them. What's happening? Fu Qiuzi frowned. Those waves made him feel threatened. Let's go out and see, Li Qianluo said in irritation. All right. Fu Qiuzi stepped out of the house. At that moment, he heard an angry shout from the valley entrance. Fu Qiuzi, you killed my master. Today you must pay with your life. Guan Baishan roared in anguish. The valley on the Zhajiang stronghold side was already filled with cultivators. The Zhajiang stronghold's cultivators all looked in surprise at the aggressively approaching Dawn Alliance fellow path members, not understanding what had happened. At this moment, in the open area of the valley, Guan Chenqing's body was laid on the ground, his head placed on his chest, but it had been severed, appearing extremely eerie. Fu Qiuzi and Li Qianluo stepped out and immediately saw Guan Chenqing on the ground, then noticed the grief-stricken face of Guan Baishan, slightly stunned. What happened? Fu Qiuzi naturally recognized Guan Chenqing, and back then the Tianmu race and the Shengtou race had conflicts over territory issues, maintaining a tense relationship. Guan Baishan glared angrily at Fu Qiuzi and said, How dare you ask what happened? You killed my master, cruelly cut off his head, destroyed his orifice soul, yet still dare to feign ignorance. Don't speak nonsense. When did I do such things? Fu Qiuzi frowned and said. Guan Baishan only had the orifice transforming stage cultivation. Facing Fu Qiuzi at the mid-heavenly connection stage, he was still wary, but this time he had the reason. Along with the high priest of the demon tentacle race as a firm backing, feeling confident enough, he shouted sadly, I saw it myself this morning, and there are other Taoists who can testify. You still dare to argue. After saying this, he turned around and knelt before the high priest of the demon tentacle race, Xu Wang, and said in pain, High priest, please stand up for our Shengtou race. Seek justice for my master. Please, high priest, stand up for us. Other cultivators of the Shengtou race also said in grief. Xu Wang slowly stepped forward, his face stern, and said imposingly, Rest assured, Taoist Guan Chenqing was an elder of our Dawn Alliance. From the moment he joined us, he was one of us. We have the responsibility to protect the safety of all Taoists in the Dawn Alliance. I will certainly seek justice for your master. He solemnly helped Guan Baishan and the clan members of the Shengtou race walk upright, speaking sharply, aligning with Guan Baishan against common enemies, truly like a leader who understands righteousness. I also saw it. I happened to be patrolling the skies at the time, sensed something unusual, and secretly flew over to see the situation. Precisely saw Fu Qiuzi. A cultivator from the feather race spoke out. Fu Qiuzi's face looked increasingly unpleasant. At this moment, you from the Rift Mouth race also stood forth, saying heavily, Rest assured, young friend Baishan, Senior Guan Chenqing once saved my life, owes me a debt of reconstruction. His downfall causes me much heartache. I must avenge him. She shouted indignantly at Fu Qiuzi. Fu Qiuzi, I know your Tianmu race and the Shengtou race have grudges, but I didn't expect you to secretly sneak into our Dawn Alliance territory, assassinating Senior Guan Chencheng. You must explain today. Fu Qiuzi listened more and more, feeling he was in a bad situation. When did I kill Guan Chencheng? I haven't even seen him these days without evidence. You'd better be cautious with your words. Still arguing. This morning, when I was patrolling with my master, I happened to find you sneaking into the territory of our Dawn Alliance. My master went to stop you, and you killed him. Guan Baishan stood resentfully beside you, without any hesitation now that you was backing him. He spoke out exactly what he saw. After Guan Baishan finished, you placed a hand on his shoulder, calming the nearly collapsing Guan Baishan, then indignantly said, Fu Qiuzi, your Tianmu race holds a grudge against Senior Guan Chencheng. Even if you dare to stand up and challenge him with dignity in a life-and-death duel, if he were to slip up and be killed by you, I would have no complaints. But you use such dastardly means of ambushing. Have you disregarded our agreed rules? Nonsense. Early this morning, I was discussing matters with our second village chief and others. When did I ever go to your Dawn Alliance territory? Our Taoists here can testify. Fu Qiuzi said. You coldly said, you killed someone, naturally you can find people to make false statements. You're all in cahoots. Isn't it easy to cover up the truth for each other? Li Qianluo couldn't bear to listen anymore. With hands on hips, impatiently said, Hey! Big mouth, just because you say you saw Fu Qiuzi commit murder, does it mean he truly committed murder? Can you condemn someone for murder with just your words? I could say I personally saw you killing Guan Chencheng. Does that then mean it was you who killed Guan Chencheng? Yu's face turned very dark, and she immediately rebuked, twisting words and prevarication. We have eyewitnesses here. Are those witnesses not also your people? Planning a fake eyewitness testimony is something you can decide privately. Isn't it? I'm vouched for Fu Qiuzi, and you don't believe it, yet expect your eyewitnesses to convince everyone. Li Qianluo was straightforward, knowing very well that Fu Qiuzi was not responsible for the incident, because last night, under the cover of darkness, Fu Qiuzi was with her searching for Xiang Beifei's whereabouts in the giant spirit village. More and more cultivators gathered, hearing Li Qianluo's words also nodded slightly. Indeed, without direct evidence, it couldn't be concluded that Fu Qiuzi did it. The testimony of just Guan Baishan was insufficient to convince. At this point, several more powerful figures descended from the sky, landing outside the valley. Unexpectedly, it was Flaming Six Wings and Night Demon among them. Young friend Guan Baishan, I just heard about this matter. Please accept my condolences. Flaming Six Wings' body emanated a gentle white light. His expression was deeply sorrowful, as if a close relative had passed away, making him look like a benevolent divine being enveloped in light. Night Demon also spoke. Rest assured, since everyone agreed to rules along the Blackwater River, the one who violates them will surely face severe punishment. Should any Taoist truly have recklessly killed Taoist Guan Chencheng, they must pay the price. After saying this, he turned his gaze toward Li Qianluo and said, Taoist Li, this matter can't be dismissed by your twisting of words to clear Fu Qiuzi of guilt. I've just investigated. Taoist Guan Chencheng encountered trouble while patrolling the Blackwater Forest area. Blackwater Forest is the name I and High Priest Shuang set for the boundary between our Heavenly Demon Assembly and the Dawn Alliance territories. And coincidentally, at dawn there were Taoists from our Heavenly Demon Assembly responsible for patrol. I inquired the relevant personnel on duty, and they mentioned that they heard noises from the Blackwater Forest, rushed over to witness the entire incident. Night Demon waved his hand, and two Taoists stood behind him, both from the Mirror Eye tribe. People from the Mirror Eye tribe look rather peculiar. Their eyes lack pupils and appear like flat mirrors, pure mirrors. If you look into their eyes, you can clearly see your own reflection. Wobiai woke. You two brothers were patrolling in the Blackwater Forest at dawn. Tell us about the situation you encountered. Night Demon said. Yes. The brothers Wobiai and Woke slightly bowed. Then the big guy, Wobiai, said, Here's the situation. We were patrolling, approaching Blackwater Forest, when we suddenly heard the sounds of a duel. The place was rather secluded, so we rushed over and happened to see. Wobiai pointed at Fu Qiuzi and said, We happened to see him there engaging in combat with Taoist Guan Chenqing. We have evidence. Everyone knows the ability of our Mirror Eye tribe to record any scene we see and recreate it. Wobiai and Woke exchanged a glance, suddenly shooting out a beam of light from their eyes, resembling a light curtain. Very soon, a clear image appeared ahead. In the light images projected from the mirror, Guan Chenqing from the Shungto race had just walked out of the forest when suddenly Fu Qiuzi rushed from behind, slashing at Guan Chenqing. Guan Chenqing was surprised and angry, but their back defense was high, and Fu Qiuzi didn't succeed in the first attack. Fu Qiuzi then turned and left, with Guan Chenqing pursuing him. Just as he reached the corner, he saw a cold flash, and Guan Chenqing's head flew off. Look quickly, Yi Lao Lu from the Feather race is also there. An observant Taoist immediately pointed to the image and exclaimed. Indeed, Yi Lao Lu from the Feather race appeared beside a tree in the Blackwater Forest, verifying that the Feather race did not lie. And over there is also Li Qianluo's shadow. Li Qianluo was present too. Wobiai noticed the crowd failed to see it and then pointed out a figure hidden between trees for everyone to see. And Li Qianluo's shadow was indeed there. Li Qianluo actually teamed up with Fu Qiuzi to kill Guan Chenqing. No wonder Li Qianluo spoke so unreasonably earlier. She is the mastermind behind it. The surrounding Taoists were also in an uproar. Everyone knows the ability of the Mirror Eye tribe. Their mirror-like eyes are very powerful, able to reflect attacks in battle and record anything they see. Therefore, their recording ability is quite convincing. Previously, without the Wobiai brothers stepping forward, it was impossible to confirm Fu Qiuzi's murder, but now the truth is revealed. Fu Qiuzi, what else do you have to say? Guan Baishan angrily questioned. How is this possible? Fu Qiuzi was also very startled, suddenly being accused of murder, feeling utterly baffled. Even Li Qianluo frowned slightly. Fu Qiuzi, Li Qianluo, you must now provide an explanation. With both witnesses and physical evidence against you, you unreasonably killed a member of our Dawn Alliance. As the leader of the Dawn Alliance, I will absolutely not let this go. Shuang High Priest righteously stared at Fu Qiuzi, eyes revealing endless intent to kill. It is absurd to be accused without cause. This is definitely not my doing. There must be something fishy going on, Fu Qiuzi said in a deep voice. However, at that moment, both Night Demon and Flaming Six Wings stood by Guan Baishan's side. Flaming Six Wings' face shone with holy light, speaking with righteousness. Fu Qiuzi, Li Qianluo, you are in cahoots, unjustly killing Taoist Guan Chenqing and refusing to admit it. As the leader of Light Valley, I absolutely will not sit by idly. Correct. As the leader of Heavenly Demon Assembly, I must step forward to uphold justice. You two broke the rules first and must now face the consequences according to our set rules. Night Demon coldly watched Li Qianluo, his body faintly emitting endless demonic qi. The leaders of the three factions, Night Demon, Flaming Six Wings, and Shuang, all used the pretext of demanding justice for Guan Chenqing, directing their accusations at Li Qianluo and Fu Qiuzi. These three are at the late stage of heavenly connection, currently the most powerful experts on the banks of the Blackwater River. Their auras are at their peak, and their joint cooperation is enough to suppress all the cultivators present. The atmosphere at this moment is also one of killing intent. Fu Qiuzi had already given up trying to reason with these E-tribe people. When the other party presented various baseless pieces of evidence, it proved they were prepared. No amount of words would suffice. Sorry, I've gotten you involved, Fu Qiuzi said to Li Qianluo. If this matter is not handled well, all members of the Tianmu race might be in trouble today. Stop wasting words. Just stand behind me. I'll handle everything. Li Qianluo rubbed his fists, looking completely unafraid. Why say that, Deputy Chieftain? If you think that I am the type who values life over death, then you're underestimating me. Fu Qiuzi smiled honestly and did not retreat. This is clearly slander. They are too much, truly thinking our Zhajiang stronghold has no one. Guansong also stepped forward, because early that morning, He had followed to the giant spirit village and knew very well that Fu Qiuzi and Li Qianluo hadn't done such things. That's right, Taoist Fu Qiuzi wouldn't do those things. There were still many in Zhajiang stronghold who were willing to believe in Fu Qiuzi's character, knowing he wasn't the type who would engage in sneak attacks or assassination. Of course, many of the later joined cultivators were hesitant, not taking a stand. Involving themselves meant no way out. If Li Qianluo and Fu Qiuzi were killed, they would be next. Li Qianluo also didn't count on these Yi tribe people, who were typically fence-sitters, many having defected from Light Valley, drawn by Xiang Beifei's reputation. Now that Xiang Beifei had suddenly disappeared, they were uncertain and naturally unreliable. At this moment, a woman with a wrathful face stepped forward and angrily denounced, "Fu Qiuzi, you personally killed my savior. Today, I must seek justice for him. I give you a fair duel opportunity. Do you dare accept my challenge?" A powerful aura suddenly surged from her body, with countless red tentacles spreading out, emitting waves of ferocity. She is a mid-stage expert of heavenly connection. All the other cultivators couldn't help but be astonished. They only knew of her always following Xu Wang, the high priest of the demon tentacle race, but she had never shown her strength. Now, they realized that compared to the split-head man of the past, she was stronger. Indeed, the experts of the demon tentacle race cannot be underestimated. Whoosh! The tentacles on her body crisscrossed densely, lashing out toward Fu Qiuzi. Although she asked Fu Qiuzi if he dared to accept the challenge, she actually gave him no choice. Whether he accepted or not, he had to. "Let me handle this," Li Qianluo said. "Li Qianluo, you're still under suspicion that hasn't been fully cleared. You should honestly follow us back for investigation," Night Demon coldly shouted, and green demonic chi surged up from his body, instantly enveloping Li Qianluo. He had to take action against Li Qianluo, as capturing him would grant access to the 5 sacred stone fragments on Li Qianluo. With Li Qianluo restrained, the woman with the slit face was unimpeded, and her powerful aura had already locked onto Fu Qiuzi. Fu Qiuzi looked solemn. Even though he was also a mid-stage heavenly connection, he was quite wary when facing her. Still, he didn't retreat and took a step forward, with a faint white light glowing from his body. "I, Fu Qiuzi, am upright and not afraid of false accusations. I didn't do it, and if you persist on imposing false charges on me, I won't sit by idly." The center of Fu Qiuzi's forehead opened to reveal an eye, which glowed with golden light. The Tiemu race possesses 9 eyes, which can appear at any point on the body, each eye with unique attack methods. Buzz! Golden lightning surged from Fu Qiuzi's third eye, mighty and grand, directly colliding with the woman's tentacles. Boom! The golden lightning and the red tentacles clashed fiercely, creating a terrifying atmosphere that exploded instantly. In a split second, golden and red lights intertwined, and the sound of explosions echoed non-stop as ripples of shockwaves spread outward. The other cultivators immediately retreated in shock, fearing being caught in the powerful attack. This fight was between the woman and Fu Qiuzi, and no others chose to intervene. The woman snorted coldly as a silver-white tentacle rolled out. This tentacle rapidly formed into a sharp silver longsword mid-air, with the blade gleaming coldly as it slashed forward. The golden lightning was instantly scattered. The tentacle had transformed into a long sword of overwhelming power, and the blade showed no sign of weakening as it continued to slash toward Fu Qiuzi. Fu Qiuzi's expression also changed slightly. The tentacle's long sword exceeded his expectations. He extended his left hand, and a second golden eye opened in the palm instantly. Buzz! A circle of golden light erupted from Fu Qiuzi's palm, swirling in front, forming layers of hazy golden mist. As the woman's silver-white long sword slashed forth, the golden mist immediately enveloped her blade, continuously rotating to dissipate the power of her long sword. Crack! In the blink of an eye, the woman's long sword was ground down to dullness by the golden mist. At the same time, Fu Qiuzi extended his right hand, and a third eye opened in the palm. Buzz! The eye was sharp and profound. When it opened, the surrounding light seemed to twist away, as if the gaze had turned into something substantial, transforming into a sharp blade, swooping in and instantly shattering the silver tentacle of the split-mouth woman. The split-mouth woman frowned slightly and retreated 2 steps. Fu Qiuzi's strength is actually so formidable. Many E-tribe cultivators exclaimed in surprise, as every time a Tianmu race's Fu Qiuzi opened an eye, the power unleashed was exceptionally strong. Originally, they believed the split-mouth woman wasn't weaker than the head-split man and should be able to subdue Fu Qiuzi, but they didn't expect Fu Qiuzi's strength to far exceed their imagination. At the same time, within the green, overwhelming demonic qi, the night demon was confronting Li Qianluo. Li Qianluo, you and Fu Qiuzi have incited widespread anger. I'm here to seek justice for Guan Chenqing, an ally, the night demon said with a wicked smile. The demonic qi here had already shielded the outside world to prevent Flaming Six Wings and Xu Wang from interfering. He needed to quickly get what was on Li Qianluo. Li Qianluo furrowed her brows, pondering. Cut the crap, what exactly do you want? Do you still need to beat around the bush? Li Qianluo said. Oh? Then tell me, why have I come? The night demon asked. Let me guess. Perhaps courting death? Li Qianluo was actually very aware of the night demon's intentions. She knew a day like this would come ever since Yihun inquired about those 5 pieces of sacred stone shards. But she wasn't going to be so blunt. The night demon shook his folding fan, looking completely unconcerned, and said, How about we make a deal? A deal? The thing I need is simple and shouldn't be difficult for you at all. You just need to give me those 5 broken stones you showcased that day, and I will go out and help clear you of suspicion, stating that you were merely passing by and won't be hunted down by all the Taoists here. How about it? The night demon asked. Broken stones? Sure. Li Qianluo stomped her foot on the ground. 5 ordinary stones flew up, suspended in midair. Here you go. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 5 stones darted toward the night demon. The night demon's expression darkened, tilting his head to avoid those stones, saying, Looks like you do know what those 5 broken stones mean? Do you think you can take those 5 stones from me? Li Qianluo countered. I've never failed to get what I want. The night demon was done talking. Green light surged from his body, instantly forming into a long, bizarre black spear. This spear's texture was black with layers of black patterns covering the shaft, resembling layers of eerie scales. Buzz! The spear transformed into a black glow, appearing extremely dazzling amidst the green demonic qi, arriving in front of Li Qianluo within the blink of an eye. The night demon was a very powerful late-stage heavenly connection master, his strength comparable to Flaming Six Wings and Xu Wang the High Priest. However, Li Qianluo merely waved her hand and directly grasped the seemingly mighty black spear. The night demon was slightly taken aback. It seems you don't really know my identity, do you? Li Qianluo asked. Aren't you human race? The night demon always believed that Li Qianluo, like Xiang Beifei, came from the human race, as Li Qianluo resembled humans too much, without obvious features of any other races. It seems you really don't know, Li Qianluo slowly said. The green demonic qi enveloped the area, isolating the essences, causing Flaming Six Wings and Xu Wang to furrow their brows slightly, exchanging glances. They didn't understand why the night demon used such powerful demonic qi to isolate the essences, resulting in all cultivators being unable to see what was happening inside. He's overly eager, Xu Wang the High Priest pondered. Logically speaking, Guan Chenqing was their Dawn Alliance cultivator. To take action against Li Qianluo should be his task. However, the night demon rushed ahead. Flaming Six Wings was also pondering this matter. Both were cunning old foxes. When things seemed off, there would definitely be some thoughts in their hearts. It's just that the situation inside was unclear now, so they hadn't taken action. Meanwhile, the clash between Fu Qiuzi and the split-mouth woman had also reached its climax. Fu Qiuzi's strength was truly formidable. When all 9 heavenly eyes opened, in real combat, he was not weaker than the split-mouth woman. We really underestimated Fu Qiuzi. Your subordinate doesn't seem to be able to beat him, Flaming Six Wings remarked. Xu Wang seemed quite calm, sneering. If you think that way, then you underestimate you. Boom! The Ripper Woman and Fu Qiuzi crossed paths in the air, the terrifying fluctuation forcing the Ripper Woman back once again. Not bad, but that's all you've got. The Ripper Woman sneered, and another black tentacle extended from her back. As it spread out, black mist sprayed from the tentacle, enveloping the Ripper Woman. The Ripper Woman flipped forward again, all her tentacles wrapped in black mist, making all her attacks hidden within the mist. Fu Qiuzi's eyes shone with golden light, once again shooting out a powerful beam. However, this time as soon as his attack touched the black mist, all the golden light vanished, as if it had been forcibly swallowed. Fu Qiuzi's expression changed. The Tianmu race's eyes are powerful, but once enveloped in this black mist, they're rendered useless. The Ripper Woman was clearly aware of Fu Qiuzi's weakness. Regardless of the Tianmu's attack, its essence was always visual, and this black mist was specifically designed to counter Fu Qiuzi. Swish! The Ripper Woman rolled forward, the black mist instantly enveloping Fu Qiuzi. His body emitted a golden light again, trying to break free of the mist, but the mist clung relentlessly, quickly devouring the golden light from Fu Qiuzi's body. Ordinary black mist couldn't block the gaze of the Tianmu race, known for its powerful penetration ability. However, the Ripper Woman had prepared something strange and unique, black mist that could block perception, absorb gazes, and restrain Fu Qiuzi's Tianmu ability. This meant Fu Qiuzi's Tianmu was directly rendered useless. Swish! Swish! The Ripper Woman's tentacles struck towards Fu Qiuzi, and in the mist, he couldn't discern directions, only hearing sharp attack sounds around him. He immediately summoned his spiritual power to protect himself, but the sharp silver blade swept across. Whiz! 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 Fu Qiuzi grunted in pain. Even though he reacted quickly, he was still struck by the blade. You! Fu Qiuzi groaned painfully, instinctively covering his eyes, which had been pierced and blinded. But as he raised his hand, the eye in his palm was exposed too, and the blade lifted again, blinding the eye in his palm. Thud! Fu Qiuzi let out a low cry of pain, his body flying back heavily, emerging from the black mist, covered in blood, with all 9 of his Tianmu blinded. The practitioners of the Tianmu race focused on honing their Tianmu ability, and without their eyes they became essentially useless. Today, I will avenge my senior Guan Qianqing, the Ripper Woman uttered coldly, charging at Fu Qiuzi to completely obliterate his orifice soul. But suddenly, the sky turned dark, and the surroundings plunged into darkness, catching all practitioners off guard and slightly startling them. This sudden descent of darkness was terrifyingly different from an ordinary night, as it shrouded all perception, making every practitioner in the darkness feel utterly alone in the world. The Ripper Woman's attack intended for Fu Qiuzi instantly lost its target, unable to lock onto him, making her attack miss Fu Qiuzi. Swish! However, this time the darkness didn't last long. The sky brightened again within just a few breaths. The Ripper Woman regained her composure, accustomed to the day and night alternation of the Land of Inheritance, and without hesitation, she gathered her formidable power once more, aiming at Fu Qiuzi. But when she looked up, she discovered a young man standing in front of Fu Qiuzi, seemingly out of nowhere, courting death. Xiang Beifei raised his head, fixing his gaze on the Ripper Woman, gently clenching his hand. Buzz! The light around the Ripper Woman seemed to twist, and she angrily and fearfully looked up, as if frozen in place, her silver tentacles losing power, unable to exert strength. Xiang Beifei merely waved lightly. Boom! The Ripper Woman couldn't dodge, let out a miserable scream, flying back directly, crashing to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. All the practitioners had their pupils contract. The Ripper Woman was already quite powerful. Yet in the face of Xiang Beifei, she was sent flying with just a slap. Most importantly, Xiang Beifei was still alive. Xiang Beifei isn't dead. He's returned. Oh heavens! Wasn't it said he was killed by the giant spirit? He's still so strong. Countless practitioners were astonished, watching the unexpected appearance of Xiang Beifei, filled with surprise. Xiang Beifei paid no mind to anyone, only turning to check Fu Qiuzi's injuries, frowning slightly. At this moment, Fu Qiuzi was ashen-faced, sinking into despair. All his Tianmu were blinded, leaving him entirely powerless. But his hearing remained. Hearing the discussions, he incredulously asked, "Chief, is it you?" "It is." Xiang Beifei's eyes flickered slightly, perceiving that Fu Qiuzi's blindness extended even to the divine law he communicated with. The Ripper woman's ability was particularly vicious, directly targeting the Tianmu on Fu Qiuzi's orifice soul. "It's a relief you're alive. Sigh. Now, my eyes." Fu Qiuzi clenched his fists. Losing his eyes was fatal for the Tianmu race, as it meant all their abilities were nullified. If only the physical eyes were damaged, they could be compensated for, but the orifice soul's injury was irreparable. He sighed, "Chief, I'm a cripple now, but I hope you can protect my clansmen, allowing them to leave this place." "You must handle that yourself," Xiang Beifei replied. Fu Qiuzi was slightly taken aback. "But my eyes." "Your eyes will be fine," Xiang Beifei said. Fu Qiuzi couldn't understand Xiang Beifei's words and thought Xiang Beifei hadn't assessed his injuries properly, saying disheartenedly, "The heavenly eyes on my orifice soul have been blinded. Then just repair the orifice soul." "Repair the orifice soul?" Fu Qiuzi had never heard of anyone being able to heal orifice soul injuries. Was this a joke? However, at this moment, a surge of pure spiritual power emanated from Xiang Beifei, transferred to Fu Qiuzi, and instantly rushed to Fu Qiuzi's severely damaged orifice soul. The power of return to the original state enveloped Fu Qiuzi's orifice soul, slowly repairing the eyes that had just been blinded, and the lost power was also slowly being restored. How is this possible? Fu Qiuzi clearly felt the heavenly eyes on his orifice soul regaining strength, his heart pounding with excitement. Could Xiang Beifei truly heal the orifice soul's injuries? He didn't quite believe it, but hoped it was true. But just at this moment, the first eye on the orifice soul opened, then the second, the third. Within moments, all 9 heavenly eyes were fully open. Xiang Beifei waved his hand again, and the wounds on Fu Qiuzi's body also completely healed. It's really possible. Fu Qiuzi was completely stunned. There should be no issues now. Xiang Beifei was somewhat satisfied with the effect of return to the original state, and with his previous experience, repairing the orifice soul this time was a breeze. "Chieftain, you really, I don't know what to." Fu Qiuzi trembled with excitement. To regain sight was something he never dared to dream of. "No need, we're on the same side." Xiang Beifei stood up and then looked towards the distant Flaming Six Wings and Shuang the High Priest. Both Flaming Six Wings and Shuang's expressions darkened when they saw Xiang Beifei. They hadn't expected Xiang Beifei to still be alive, but they were even more astonished to see Fu Qiuzi standing up unharmed from the ground. They knew very well what the split-mouthed woman did to Fu Qiuzi. It was an injury to the orifice soul. How did Fu Qiuzi become unharmed in mere breaths? "Xiang Beifei," Shuang coldly spoke. "This was a duel between you and Fu Qiuzi. None of us interfered, yet you broke the rules." Xiang Beifei calmly looked at Shuang and said, "The premise for breaking the rules is that there are still rules. I see you all aren't following the rules, collaborating to frame others, and still expect us to uphold the rules. Nonsense. Fu Qiuzi broke the rules by killing Guan Qianqing, and you was merely seeking justice for Guan Qianqing, which is reasonable. Do you intend to protect Fu Qiuzi, and thus oppose all cultivators?" Shuang demanded. "Are you sure the situation is as you say?" Xiang Beifei replied. The split-mouthed woman climbed up from the ground, having suffered a heavy blow earlier. Her aura was in disarray, and being knocked back had filled her with anger and embarrassment. She gritted her teeth and shouted at Xiang Beifei. "We have various evidence showing that Fu Qiuzi killed Guan Qianqing. The Mirror Eye Tribe, Feather Race, and Guan Baishan all witnessed Fu Qiuzi killing Guan Qianqing with their own eyes. Can you still turn black and white?" "Turning black and white?" Xiang Beifei's gaze swept over the Yi tribe cultivators behind Shuang. In his eyes, what heavenly Tao each Yi tribe cultivator communicated with was as clear as day. Soon he noticed a particularly unique cultivator among them, the black and white aura gradually evolving in his eyes, and then every clue of that Yi tribe cultivator's Tao embryo was forcibly deduced by him. Host. Xing Tianjing. Tao embryo. Transforming aperture soul. Realm. Heavenly connection initial stage. Tao embryo description. Capable of transforming into all sorts of forms in the world, even mimicking the abilities of opponents. Latest transformation target. Fu Qiuzi. Xiang Beifei's mind was already made up. His foot lightly shook, and an imperceptible aura spread rapidly along the ground, reaching Xing Tianjing of the transforming clan. With his current elevated power level, even Flaming Six Wings and Shuang hadn't noticed this aura. Respected as a criterion, anyone influenced by him must act according to the guidelines set by Xiang Beifei. You only presented vague evidence. Maybe there are still Tao friends who know the specifics about Guan Qianqing's case, just haven't had the chance to speak yet? Xiang Beifei calmly asked. Shuang retorted, Fu Qiuzi colluded with Li Qianluo to kill Guan Qianqing. It's already a done deal. Xiang Beifei scanned the Yi tribe crowd and spoke. Do you all think the truth is as they say? The scene fell silent. Shuang sneered repeatedly. In his eyes, the question was completely redundant. Those who knew the truth were all on their side. How could they possibly reveal it? However, at this moment, a voice broke the silence. No! Xing Tianjing suddenly spoke. But just after he spoke, he suddenly widened his eyes in terror. After uttering these words, Xing Tianjing himself was shocked. To know he is the true culprit who transformed into Fu Qiuzi and joined forces with the split-mouth girl to kill Guan Qianqing. But how could he possibly agree with Xiang Beifei's words? Yet, for an instant just now, when Xiang Beifei inquired about whether they all believed the truth was this, he inexplicably felt a compulsion to reveal the truth. This thought was even beyond his own comprehension. On the other side, Shuang slightly frowned upon hearing Xing Tianjing suddenly speak up. What's this idiot doing? Shuang cursed inwardly. He had warned him to act cautiously. Was he jumping out now because he was tired of living? But all the cultivator's attention was drawn towards Xing Tianjing of the transforming clan, who was becoming the subject of pointing and whispering. At this moment, anyone who could stand out must be a person of great courage and integrity. Xiang Beifei turned his head calmly to Xing Tianjing and asked, Oh? You don't believe that the truth is like this? You don't believe that Fu Qiuzi killed Guan Qianqing? He knew Xing Tianjing would speak the truth. For now, respected as a criterion required him to do so. The worst thing Xing Tianjing ever did was attempting to transform into Xiang Beifei's form. Shuang the high priest was never a simple ghost mustache of remnant visage. His scheming ran deep. Even Flaming Six Wings and Night Demon were oblivious to the fact that Shuang and Xing Tianjing had other plans. If Flaming Six Wings and Night Demon truly believed the demon tentacle race would team up obediently, they underestimated him. He first sent the split-mouth girl to kill Guan Qianqing from his own camp, taking the opportunity to eliminate Li Qianluo and Fu Qiuzi. This was merely the plan he agreed on with Flaming Six Wings and Night Demon. But after that, Shuang intended for Xing Tianjing to impersonate Xiang Beifei's return, leveraging Xiang Beifei's influence here to seize control of the most cultivators, then co-aligning with Zhajiang Stronghold and the Dawn Alliance forces, thus dominating with one single power. He did not plan to truly share the divine inheritance of this place with Night Demon and Flaming Six Wings. But before he could unfold his plan this time, Xiang Beifei suddenly appeared, disrupting everything, and what he didn't foresee was that, because Xing Tianjing attempted to transform into Xiang Beifei gained direct control over his Tao embryo. At this moment, Xing Tianjing trembled inwardly after hearing Xiang Beifei's words. He desperately wanted to resist, but found his desire to speak the truth was overpowering, blurting out, Fu Qiuzi did not kill Guan Qianqing. Fu Qiuzi is being framed. Xing Tianjing's voice was exceptionally loud. But after saying this, he abruptly covered his mouth. his eyes filled with astonishment. Xing Tianjing, what are you blabbering? Xu Wang warned in a chilling tone. No, High Priest, listen to my explanation. I didn't mean to speak. Xing Tianjing wailed inside. He himself didn't understand what was happening, but when he blurted out, it suddenly became, I am not babbling. The one who killed Guan Qianqing is me. Upon these words, Xing Tianjing gasped several times in shock, nearly choking himself. Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings were stunned. What's happening? This fool walks into a trap on his own? Did he live too long? All the Yi tribe cultivators were staring at each other in bewilderment, questioning if Xing Tianjing suddenly confessed due to a pang of guilt. Xiang Beifei, however, showed no surprise, continuing to ask, what exactly happened? Could you elaborate in detail? Xing Tianjing desperately shook his head internally, even holding his own mouth shut. Yet he still couldn't help but move his hand away and say, it was the three of them. Flaming Six Wings, Night Demon, and the High Priest. They wanted to target Zhajiang stronghold, so they had me transform into Fu Qiuzi to kill Guan Qianqing. The High Priest knew there was friction between Guan Qianqing from the Shengtou race of the Dawn Alliance and Fu Qiuzi from the Tianmu race, so he chose Guan Qianqing as the target for murder, making me transform into Fu Qiuzi to kill Guan Qianqing, thus framing Fu Qiuzi, allowing three parties their reason to team up against Zhajiang stronghold. This was all commanded by those three masters. Upon these words, the audience was in uproar. To know, this was a severe accusation. You dare to spout nonsense and falsely accuse us? Xu Wang's body suddenly surged with potent killing intent, aiming to slaughter Xing Tianjing first. But Xiang Beifei also emanated an aura that pulled Xing Tianjing over, raising his voice. Why is Xu Wang the High Priest so eager to kill? Is it because he knows he spoke the truth, hence feeling guilty? He's spouting nonsense, tarnishing our purity. If I don't kill him, should I let him distort facts? Xu Wang stared fiercely at Xing Tianjing. Flaming Six Wings' holy white light also began to converge, with murderous intent flickering. Since he dares to say this, perhaps he has evidence. Let him finish speaking first. If he can't produce evidence, you can kill him then. If you kill him now without following the rules, then what are you crusading against at my Zhajiang stronghold? Are you just treating your previous words like empty promises? Xiang Beifei watched Xu Wang with a calm expression. His voice wasn't loud, but it held a valid point. Xu Wang was taken aback and extremely annoyed. Many Yi tribe members looked at Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings in confusion, and then at the Night Demon still entangled with Li Qianluo in the demonic qi, growing increasingly shocked. Xing Tianjing was frightened by the killing intent emanating from Xu Wang. This guy actually wants to kill him? Soon, he suddenly realized something. In the eyes of the demon tentacle race, there is no concept of reason. Xu Wang preached everywhere that joining the Dawn Alliance makes one family, supposedly helping each other, yet to frame Fu Qiuzi, he could even kill the innocent Guan Qianqing. Not to mention Guan Qianqing was the savior of the slit-mouthed woman. The demon tentacle race only cares about profit without any regard for sentiment, meaning that once their goal is achieved, they might also kill him to silence him. Upon thinking this, Xing Tianjing realized how foolish he had been. He thought following the High Priest's words meant finding shelter, but he was just a dog waiting to be thrown away at any moment. Xing Tianjing's anger grew stronger. You continue speaking. If anyone tries to attack you before the truth is clear, it proves they have a guilty conscience. Trying to murder to silence you would confirm you're speaking the truth. Xiang Beifei ignored Xu Wang's murderous glare. I'll speak. I'm not making things up. Xu Wang and Night Demon teamed up with Flaming Six Wings to plan for me to transform into Fu Qiuzi to assassinate Guan Qianqing. But I'm not as strong as Guan Qianqing, and there's no way I could kill him. So, I assisted you to become Li Qianluo, yes. It was you who killed Guan Qianqing. Although Guan Qianqing had saved you before, she still mercilessly killed him for the plan. Xing Tianjing angrily revealed everything, and even now, he wasn't sure if he was telling the truth voluntarily or being forced to speak. This is what I look like when transformed into Fu Qiuzi. To prove himself, Xing Tianjing even transformed into Fu Qiuzi's appearance for everyone to see. You! Fu Qiuzi was stunned to see Xing Tianjing transformed into his likeness. His appearance and demeanor were identical, indistinguishable even to himself. Two Fu Qiuzi? The curious cultivators shifted their gazes between the two Fu Qiuzi, deeply shocked. Although they knew the transforming clan could change into any form, witnessing it firsthand made them at least 70 to 80% convinced by Xing Tianjing's confession. Ridiculous! Your talent for lying is getting quite sophisticated. You transforming clan can become whoever you want with just a thought. How is this evidence? Besides, you know Guan Qianqing saved you. How could you possibly be so ungrateful to murder Guan Qianqing? Isn't this just utter nonsense? Xu Wang chuckled sarcastically, waiting for the slit-mouthed woman to back him up. The slit-mouthed woman beside him also scoffed coldly. She was preparing to support the high priest's words and rebuke Xing Tianjing. But as the words reached her lips, they suddenly transformed into, "What Xing Tianjing says is true. The high priest indeed instructed us to kill Guan Qianqing and frame Fu Qiuzi. On that day, Flaming Six Wings and Night Demon sent members of the Mirror Eye tribe and Feather Race specifically to patrol. We timed it so that at the moment I teamed up with Xing Tianjing to kill Guan Qianqing, the cultivators from the Mirror Eye tribe and Feather Race would arrive to witness everything." The slit-mouthed woman, with her shattered mouth, revealed the whole truth completely. But after she spoke, she was utterly astonished, almost dropping her jaw. Xu Wang turned sharply, staring at the slit-mouthed woman with rage and wide eyes. This fool, what is she saying? At this moment, all fellow cultivators present exhibited expressions of amazement. If Xu Wang berated Xing Tianjing for spewing nonsense, it might have been acceptable. After all, Xing Tianjing was of the transforming clan, not the demon tentacle race. He could defame the demon tentacle race. Yet now, for a demon tentacle race member like the slit-mouthed woman to suddenly make such a statement, it carried profound implications. Could it be that the demon tentacle race is in conflict within itself? "You, what nonsense are you spewing?" Xu Wang shouted angrily. "No, I didn't mean to say this." However, the slit-mouthed woman immediately replied with righteousness. "I'm not spewing nonsense." She was utterly bewildered. At this moment, the slit-mouthed woman's internal experience mirrored Xing Tianjing's entirely. She had never intended to say such things, but simply couldn't control her mouth. Flaming Six Wings had already sensed something amiss. The slit-mouthed woman and Xing Tianjing seemed to be forcibly made to tell the truth by someone. He immediately shouted, "Their words are not credible. If they truly did this, they could not possibly betray High Priest Xu Wang. There is nothing beneficial for them in doing so. Someone must have bewitched them. Xiang Beifei, it's you. This is the land of inheritance, where anything unimaginable can occur. Giant spirit, Blackwater River, day and night transitions. Haven't you thought that perhaps here in the land of inheritance, even the gods can't stand by and watch your deeds, so they compelled them to speak the truth?" Xiang Beifei asked. "Nonsense! How could such a thing happen?" Xu Wang shouted. "Are you questioning the power of the gods? Then why did you come to the land of inheritance?" Xiang Beifei retorted. "I." Xu was caught off guard and became very angry. Xiang Beifei turned to inquire the slit-mouthed woman. "You say you killed Guan Qianqing. Do you have any evidence?" The slit-mouthed woman loathed Xiang Beifei deeply. She was just about to curse at him and deny killing Guan Qianqing. But as she spoke, it came out as, "Yes, I have evidence. I was the one who chopped off Guan Qianqing's head. The blade marks on the neck could only be made by me. There are 3 blood holes on the inside of the corpse. Those were made by my tentacles. Xing Tianjing couldn't kill Guan Qianqing. I ambushed him, and through those 3 blood holes, I destroyed Guan Qianqing's orifice soul. I still have Guan Qianqing's lifeless orifice soul on me." The slit-mouthed woman nearly stumbled and fell after saying these things. She uncontrollably confessed all the truths. The desire to speak the truth was so intense that it utterly perplexed her. Blood holes. Guan Baishan was stunned. He hurriedly went to inspect his master's body and, after a careful examination, indeed found 3 blood holes. Xiang Beifei asked, "You said you took Guan Qianqing's orifice soul? Show it to us." "No, I can't take it out, I must leave. I need to get out of here," the slit-mouthed woman desperately screamed in her heart. "Here it is." But in the next moment, the slit-mouthed woman involuntarily extended a tentacle and took out the already dim orifice soul of Guan Qianqing. At this moment, Guan Qianqing's orifice soul had already lost its vitality, completely dead. Only a pure spiritual power crystal remained, with several blood holes on it, matching her description. The slit-mouthed woman's face turned pale. The demon tentacle race had a habit of killing to acquire Dao embryos. Originally, after killing Guan Qianqing, she intended to extract the orifice soul and transfer its Dao embryo abilities to herself, as they did with humans. However, due to time constraints, she had not fully executed the plan, so the orifice soul remained relatively intact. She couldn't fathom if she had lost her mind for bringing it out like this. Now the truth was plain for all to see. Everything the slit-mouthed woman said was genuine. "Master!" Seeing Guan Qianqing's orifice soul, Guan Baishan cried out in grief and rage. That was his master with whom he had spent every day, never expecting that the slit-mouthed woman would kill him, and now the lifeless orifice soul dangled like a broken puppet in mid-air, which made Guan Baishan's eyes nearly burst with anger. You killed my master, why? Why? He clearly saved your life," Guan Baishan roared. "It's true he saved my life, but since your pierced chest tribe and the Tianmu race have conflicts, as long as it fulfills High Priest Shuwu's plan, killing him is not a big deal. Our demon tentacle race never neglects grievances, only interests, which is the foundation of our strength." The slit-mouthed woman, unable to control herself, revealed her true thoughts completely. The scene erupted in an uproar. The demon tentacle race is truly evil. How dare they repay kindness with treachery, and still glorify the act of killing their savior, truly malicious. The land of inheritance is indeed mystical, being able to unmask these deceitful individuals. Demon tentacle race is excessively wicked. Their intentions are filthy. They are enemies of all cultivators. Our Zhaojing tribe will withdraw from the Dawn Alliance to sever all ties with the demon tentacle race. Our Sidewalking tribe will withdraw too. The E tribe cultivators had already turned against the demon tentacle race, unable to continue placing trust in them, fearing they would be the next sacrificed pawn in the High Priest's plans. Numerous cultivators began denouncing the demon tentacle race. Many felt immense indignation over Guan Qianqing's fate. Guan Qianqing did nothing. He was the savior of the slit-mouthed woman. Yet he was unjustly killed by her. This brutal action had caused the demon tentacle race to lose its foothold here. But the matter was far from over. Xiang Beifei grasped Guan Qianqing's orifice soul in his hand and asked, "You just mentioned that the Flaming Six Wings and Night Demon were also involved in this matter?" The slit-mouthed woman was already in extreme panic, wanting to shut her mouth, but she simply couldn't. Yes, they were involved too. Night Demon aimed to capture Li Qianluo, because Li Qianluo fits the evil methods of their demon race's demonic furnace. He wanted to refine Li Qianluo. The Flaming Six Wings sought vengeance for last time and aimed to reclaim all forces, so they conspired this heinous act together. The slit-mouthed woman continued to declare in terror. The expression of Flaming Six Wings had already darkened, with not a hint of so-called holy light left, only cloudiness. You deserve to die." High Priest Shuwang was nearly driven to explosion by anger. It was one thing for Xing Tianjing to betray him, but now even his own subordinates were turning against him. If she continued to talk, she might reveal all the secrets of the demon tentacle race. Bang! A surge of red light burst from him, blasting towards the slit-mouthed woman. Shuwang possessed late-stage heavenly connection power, extremely powerful, far beyond what the slit-mouthed woman could withstand. She couldn't dodge in time and was hit directly, letting out a scream and being flung towards the Blackwater River. "No!" The slit-mouthed woman cried out in terror, her body flying over the Blackwater River. Immediately, An irresistible force swept out from the Blackwater River. The slit-mouthed woman struggled to escape, but was utterly unable to resist the pull of the Blackwater River, and her body plummeted straight down. Puff! The slit-mouthed woman fell into the Blackwater River without causing a ripple. Countless E-tribe cultivators had their pupils contract. Such a turn of events was something they hadn't anticipated. The demon tentacle race was so ruthless that they even turned on their own, killing the slit-mouthed woman. Bear in mind, the slit-mouthed woman was a powerful expert at the mid-stage of heavenly connection. Yet she died just like that, and at the hands of her own people. If they could be so ruthless to their own, what about other E-tribe people? But this time, Shuang finally dropped the pretense and revealed his true colors. The rules they set by the Blackwater River were meant to deter other races, but now that the rules were unfavorable to them, there was no need to adhere to them. To him, rules were made for others, not for himself. Flaming Six Wings, what are you waiting for? The aura around Shuang suddenly surged, directing all hostility towards Xiang Beifei. At the same time, over 20 powerful figures of the demon tentacle race glared angrily at Xiang Beifei. Among these 20-odd experts, 10 were at the early stage of heavenly connection, and 5 were mid-stage. Flaming Six Wings locked his gaze on Xiang Beifei. He had been discredited twice in Xiang Beifei's hands, leaving no room for redemption. There's no point in beating around the bush. Only by using force to take down Xiang Beifei is it crucial. Xiang Beifei, you shouldn't have provoked us like this. Swish! Flaming Six Wings, 6 pairs of wings behind him suddenly flapped, flashing a brilliant white light. But this light was no longer as holy as usual. Instead, it was filled with an intense killing intent. Whoosh! 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 More than 20 Moon Race members also immediately responded, unleashing their aura without reservation. They also had 5 mid-stage heavenly connection experts. Demon Race, what are you dawdling for? Flaming Six Wings shouted at the Demon Race's experts. At this moment, Night Demon was still engaged in battle with Li Qianluo amidst the demonic qi, unaware of his situation. Naturally, the Demon Race took Yihun as their leader. Yihun hesitated for a moment, then waved his hand. Swish! Swish! Nearly 30 Demon Race experts gathered together, their demonic energy surging, extremely powerful. Their strength was on par with the Moon God race and the Demon Tentacle race. So powerful! It turns out these 3 races came prepared this time. Many E-tribe cultivators were intimidated by the killing intent of the Demon Tentacle race, Moon God race, and Demon race. Only now did they realize that these races had dispatched so many experts for this inheritance. Over 70 experts, with nearly 40 at the heavenly connection level, including almost 20 mid-stage, not to mention Shuang and Flaming Six Wings at the late stage of heavenly connection. This was a terrifying force, especially at the late stage of heavenly connection. One Shuang could equal 100 early-stage heavenly connection experts. These 3 most powerful races instilled fear in countless cultivators. Xiang Beifei, do you really think you can withstand us alone? Flaming Six Wings said with a chilling killing intent. Xiang Beifei responded calmly. Everyone, this is the true nature of the Demon Tentacle race, Moon God race, and Demon race. Now we're all trapped here. If they don't die, you might become the next Guan Qianqing. That's right. Our Tianmu race will never become the next Guan Qianqing. Fu Qiuzi was the first to stand by Xiang Beifei's side. Other E-tribe cultivators looked at the beheaded Guan Qianqing, their thoughts racing. They knew Xiang Beifei was right. If they let the Demon Tentacle race and these 3 races have their way, it might be their turn to die. Our Pierced Chest tribe also won't be the next Guan Qianqing. Guan Song of the Pierced Chest tribe also stepped out, revealing his mid-stage heavenly connection prowess, standing behind Xiang Beifei. We also refuse to be the next Guan Qianqing. The Jiaojing tribe's heavenly connection experts stepped forward. We also refuse to be the next Guan Qianqing. This time, even experts of the Feather race who came as witnesses stood up, followed by the Mirror Eye tribe, and then the Qixia race experts stood behind Xiang Beifei. The Demon Tentacle race and Moon God race had many heavenly connection experts, but other races mostly had only 1 or 2 heavenly connection experts at best. No single race could compare to these three. But when all the tribe experts combined, their collective strength was a formidable force. You weak, trash races. I intended to keep you as bait to lure the giant spirit at key moments and sacrifice you to the gods. Since you're ungrateful, let's kill you all in advance. Shuang revealed his vicious nature. Neither Shuang, Flaming Six Wings, nor Night Demon established their power by the Black Water River to become kings, but rather to have tribe cultivators die for them when faced with danger, buying them time. In their ancient legends, the Bone Mountain Desert Stone Cave was a terrifying existence that might require fresh sacrifices to gain the inheritance. With so many tribe people present, there were countless sacrificial offerings to control. If they could command them, they could use them as sacrifices at will. This was the true reason for the establishment of the Dawn Alliance, Light Valley, and the Heavenly Demon Assembly. The tribe cultivators' faces turned grim upon hearing High Priest Shuang's words, followed by expressions of anger. It turned out that the three races, under the guise of mutual aid, had allied not to protect them but to turn them into sacrifices. The sacrifices still need to be stored. The holy light on Flaming Six Wings gradually faded. Its once gentle and handsome face was now covered with yellow lumps, and the white feathers on its 6 wings started to fall off, turning into 6 plump, yellow wings. Yellow springs surrounded the wings, and within them seemed to be countless vengeful spirits crying. Flaming Six Wings extended its scarlet tongue, licking its lips. The remaining experts of the Moon God race also began to transform, shedding their previous serenity and becoming hideous hell messengers. Many tribe cultivators were stunned to see the transformation of the Moon God race. The truth dawned that the Moon God race, who always interacted with other races with a highly friendly appearance, had deceived them from the start. Their true nature was the ugly meat-winged monsters. However, at this moment appearances no longer mattered. The crucial difference was in strength. Despite the large numbers of remaining tribe cultivators, a majority were only at the orifice transforming and god refining stages, hardly a match for the combined might of the experts from the 3 races. Is this the extent of your strength? Not a single late-stage heavenly connection among you. High Priest Shuang still smiled. Now, almost all tribes were on their opposing side. Even with 100 heavenly connections among Xiang Beifei's side, there were only about 20 at mid-stage, with none at late-stage. Just Shuang alone, a late-stage heavenly connection expert, was enough to suppress this group. Fu Qiuzi and Guansong, along with the mid-stage heavenly connection practitioners, all looked towards Xiang Beifei in grave concern. Not necessarily. Xiang Beifei glanced toward the distant green demonic mist, where Li Qianluo and the Night Demon were, the situation within still unknown. At that moment, with a loud boom, the green demonic mist in the air exploded. A figure emerged from the mist, landing on the ground awkwardly, stumbling several steps back, almost falling. Upon a closer look, it turned out to be the late-stage heavenly connection Night Demon. Weakling, you think you can snatch my stuff? Li Qianluo leisurely walked out from the demonic mist, as if on a casual stroll, all the while rubbing her fist, the knuckles cracking noisily. She appeared utterly impatient, as if defeating the Night Demon hadn't required much effort. All the cultivators were stunned. Even Shuang and Flaming Six Wings' pupils contracted slightly. They were well aware of the Night Demon's genuine late-stage heavenly connection strength. Neither of them dared claim they could easily defeat the Night Demon. Yet, here he was, battered and bruised, his aura chaotic, evidently suffering severe injuries. The Night Demon, defeated by Li Qianluo? Li Qianluo emerged, grumbling, but noticed something amiss. The previously tense atmosphere seemed disturbed. Everyone appeared fixated on her, leaving her quite puzzled. However, she soon spotted Xiang Beifei at the forefront of the crowd, her eyes lighting up in surprise and delight as she excitedly shouted, "Wow! Xiao Bei, I knew you'd be all right." Li Qianluo happily ran over, embracing Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei raised his eyebrows. Suddenly having someone in his arms felt a bit odd. I thought the giant spirit group had already captured and cooked you. Li Qianluo quickly released him, playfully patting his shoulder. Not even enough for them to get caught in their teeth. Xiang Beifei scoffed. Luckily, he had a powerful grandfather. Otherwise, he might very well have been cooked. Li Qianluo turned to the scene, placing her hands on her hips, inquiring, "Ha! So, it's a total face-off now, huh? Ready to fight?" Fu Qiuzi, Guansong, and others exchanged glances. Wasn't it obvious? But in their hearts, they were quite astounded by Li Qianluo's capabilities. Since the establishment of Zhajiang stronghold, Fu Qiuzi usually handled matters, Xiang Beifei having acted only once. They had never seen Li Qianluo in action. Now they realized she wasn't an ordinary person. Meanwhile, the distant night demon was both startled and enraged. "Night demon, what's with this Li Qianluo? Why are you in such a state?" Shuang asked in a voice only meant for the night demon's ears. The night demon gritted his teeth, saying, "We underestimated this girl. She's not what we imagined. Her origins are terrifying. We must join forces to kill her. Otherwise, she'll be a major problem in the future." Flaming Six Wings and Shuang exchanged a glance. Although they had no idea what the night demon encountered in that demonic mist earlier, they were determined not to let any E-tribe member leave alive today. "Kill! Kill!" Flaming Six Wings and Shuang simultaneously shouted. Whoosh! 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 Countless ghost whiskers of remnant visage and meat-winged monsters leapt into the sky. A terrifying shockwave formed, with tendrils and yellow spring water crisscrossing, combined with the spreading sinister green demonic mist, engulfing the banks of the Black Water River. The E-tribe cultivators, seeing the fierce meat-winged monsters and their menacing aura, dared not be careless. The Heavenly Connection experts ascended into the sky, unleashing their mighty auras. "Very well, I can handle two. You take one?" Li Qianluo asked. Xiang Beifei turned to Li Qianluo. "You didn't kill the night demon earlier." Once more, Li Qianluo cracked her knuckles, letting out a hum. "Earlier, I had to quickly check on Fu Qiuzi and the others, lest they suffer. I'll finish off the night demon first. You hold them, and I'll come assist you in no time." Swish! Li Qianluo stepped forward, instantly transforming into a stream of light, suddenly flashing with a golden radiance, brilliant like the sun. She pierced through a meat-winged monster at the forefront. Buzz! That meat-winged monster, possessing early-stage Heavenly Connection strength, halted in mid-air, face full of shock. Then boom! The body of that meat-winged monster exploded in the air. An early-stage Heavenly Connection meat-winged monster died instantly. A woo! Era's eyes brightened, truly impressed by Li Qianluo's concealed prowess. When she truly unleashed her power, she was terrifying. Era eagerly carried Xiaohe forward. As Xiang Beifei had mentioned, early-stage Heavenly Connection Dao embryos could serve as snacks. Xiaohe pounced and collected the Dao embryo of that meat-winged monster. The night demon, witnessing Li Qianluo's approach, was filled with apprehension, having suffered a significant setback earlier. "Little girl, don't think I'm incapable of handling you," the night demon shouted, his body surging with rolling demonic qi, simultaneously biting his finger. Scarlet blood spread through the air, his body emanating a loud blood aura, his power surging as he faced Li Qianluo. On the other side, Shuang and Flaming Six Wings had surrounded Xiang Beifei. "Do you think you can take us both on alone? How presumptuous!" Shuang coldly shouted, dozens of crimson tendrils extending from his back. These tendrils were covered with black holes, resembling suction cups, each one exuding a chilling and sinister power. Buzz! Buzz! Within the hollow of the tentacles, an extremely powerful red evil energy condensed, intertwining with each other, quickly forming crimson blood spheres centered around Xiang Beifei, spreading all around him, tightly locking in his aura. The fleshy wings behind the Flaming Six Wings suddenly shook violently, as the stinking water of the yellow springs billowed out in the air, with countless bizarre fierce beasts struggling within it. as if trying to break free from the yellow water curtain and escape from the yellow springs. I will slaughter you and take your Tao embryo. The flaming six wings looked intensely at Xiang Beifei, believing that someone as powerful from the human race like Xiang Beifei must contain a formidable Tao embryo, which he had always coveted. Pathetic human, die for me. 10 cold absolute strikes. From within the hollow of each tentacle, a cold chill dispersed, and the surrounding temperature abruptly plummeted, making the air thick and seemingly frozen in an instant. Under this absolute chill, Xu Wang's tentacles wielded like steel, slashing towards Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei's hand flickered, and Wu Feng's broken sword was already in his grasp. A powerful sword light soared into the sky, chopping down towards the tentacles from all directions. Clang, 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 clang. Wu Feng's sword chi clashed violently with Xu Wang's tentacles, but instead of sparks flying, dots of chill emanated, attaching to Xiang Beifei's sword chi and quickly spreading towards Wu Feng. Xiang Beifei frowned slightly, realizing that his sword light could do nothing against these tentacles. One should know that ordinary ghost whiskers of remnant visage prevailed with countless tentacles, which could regenerate after being severed endlessly, but at least they were severable. Yet Xu Wang's tentacles were extremely tough, covered with scales that gleamed with strange runes, their defensive power terrifying, carrying a soul-chilling cold. For ordinary cultivators, they might not evade in time and would be frozen into ice statues directly. Humph! Do you truly think my power is merely at the level of a single shock? Xu Wang sneered coldly, boasting strength far beyond that of 10 shocks. Whoosh! Xiang Beifei withdrew Wu Feng's broken sword, staring intently at Xu Wang. He knew that Xu Wang must have sealed the human race system, like the crack-mouth woman and slash-head man, transplanting the stolen Tao embryos into himself. As soon as Xu Wang wielded the human race's Tao embryos, it would mark the start of Xiang Beifei's counterattack. But Xu Wang did not wield any system Tao embryos. He merely relied on his tentacle abilities, violently launching assaults on Xiang Beifei. I know you understand the human race's system Tao embryos and how to counter them. Did you think I wouldn't learn from it? Xu Wang seemed to see through Xiang Beifei's thoughts, sneering coldly. During the duel with Xiang Beifei, the slash-head man entirely relied on the human race's system to fight, thinking the best way to defeat the human race was through its system Tao embryos, since he had for Xiang Beifei was doomed to be battered down to the floor. However, the slash-head man was utterly defeated. Xu Wang was not a simple ghost whisker of remnant visage and did not realize Xiang Beifei could control the system. He believed the slash-head man's failure was because Xiang Beifei had seen those systems, most of which came from the new student contest with SR rankings, thus knowing how to counter them. Therefore, Xu Wang didn't feel arrogant this time and didn't plan to utilize the plundered system abilities, not giving Xiang Beifei any chance to retaliate, instead intending to crush him with sheer absolute strength, catching him off guard. Then it's going to take some effort. Even Xiang Beifei had to admit, Xu Wang was indeed a formidable opponent, designing to kill Guan Qiancheng, manipulating various schemes. How could he not consider this point? Boom! Simultaneously, a terrifying tremor erupted behind Xiang Beifei, and he swiftly retreated. A giant claw of the yellow springs crashed where he stood, the explosive sound seemingly tearing through space. He had to contend not just with Xu Wang alone, but also with flaming six wings. Xiang Beifei continued to retreat dozens of meters back, but before he could stabilize himself, countless tentacles laced with extreme chill burst out from the air, continuing to thrust towards him. Whoosh! 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 Cold light specks interwoven with red glow. Xu Wang's icy tentacles completely cornered Xiang Beifei into a spot where he couldn't evade. Now, where can you escape to? Xu Wang's tentacles were also covered with various complex runes, with each rune radiating powerful energy, locking onto Xiang Beifei's position, subsequently striking down on the cornered Xiang Beifei. Flaming six wings roared, and the yellow springs behind it erupted with streams of yellow cold arrows, piercing through as if they tore through the void, with the surrounding air deforming from corrosion where the yellow springs' cold arrows passed. Such a dense barrage of arrows was terrifying. Xiang Beifei looked calmly at the tentacles, yet remained unflustered. Whoosh! Suddenly, everything fell into a sudden darkness. This darkness arrived so abruptly, completely unexpected by Shuang and Flaming Six Wings, with no foresight of this change. In the blink of an eye, the sky turned dark, and not only that, Xiang Beifei's aura vanished entirely as though erased from the world. Damn it! The sky had to turn dark now. Shuang cursed internally. They knew about the cycle of day and night in the land of the gods, but understanding its pattern was elusive. The sudden darkness, in their view, undoubtedly saved Xiang Beifei's life. Even Shuang and Flaming Six Wings found their perception severely hindered when it turned dark, as if the world was left with only themselves, unable to sense anyone else. This meant they couldn't see where Xiang Beifei was. This bastard got so lucky, catching the darkness. Flaming Six Wings gritted his teeth with resentment. If not for the darkness, he could assure his strike would definitely kill Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei had already lost as a target, yet the Yellow Spring's cold arrows continued to fly forward, even losing the sense of where they were going. And on another side, Shuang, who initially launched attacks, suddenly felt his tentacles hit by terrifying mountains. Such powerful strikes he hadn't anticipated, with intense pain transmitted through them. That boy's attacks got stronger. Is he at late heavenly connection strength? Shuang was slightly shocked, never expecting Xiang Beifei to hide his strength. But in the next moment, the sky brightened. Then Shuang looked at his tentacles, feeling extremely furious. In his tentacles, corrosive Yellow Spring's cold arrows from Flaming Six Wings attack lodged firmly. Unlike Xiang Beifei's sword qi, these Yellow Spring's cold arrows possessed terrifying destructive power. For Flaming Six Wings' true strength rivaled his, enough to break through his defenses. Flaming Six Wings, are you brain dead? Shuang cursed aloud. Flaming Six Wings was also stunned, not expecting his attacks to miss Xiang Beifei completely and hit Shuang's tentacles instead, causing significant harm. I can't see anything. Flaming Six Wings gritted his teeth. He felt stifled inside because when the Netherworld cold arrow left his body, darkness fell, leaving him unable to perceive it. He couldn't correct its flight path afterward, nor could he retrieve the Netherworld cold arrow. And after nightfall, Shuang couldn't perceive anything either, not knowing if the Netherworld cold arrow was coming toward him, only realizing it when it pierced him. But by then it would be too late. To think you'd wound me relying on luck. Shuang turned his resentful gaze to Xiang Beifei. At this moment, Xiang Beifei was still floating in midair as if nothing had happened. The Candle Dragon's eyes possessed a very peculiar ability. Despite the tight connection between Xiaohe and Xiang Beifei, during the Candle Dragon's nightfall, Xiang Beifei would temporarily lose contact with Xiaohe, let alone with Flaming Six Wings. But Flaming Six Wings was unaware of this and still thought Xiang Beifei had relied on luck this time. Now that it's daylight, I won't give you another chance. Flaming Six Wings roared fiercely, summoning the waters of the Netherworld again. The waves of the Netherworld surged fiercely, carrying a strong corrosive aura, roaring loudly. He believed it was Xiang Beifei's luck that he encountered the dark during his first move. But he couldn't believe that, during his second strike, Xiang Beifei could coincidentally encounter darkness again. Thump, thump, thump. The Netherworld sang as if chanting, and endless remnants of bones rolled in its waters, wailing mournfully yet rhythmically, as a massive black bone emerged, arching up from the Netherworld. Netherworld Evil Bone. The meat-winged monster race sacrifices themselves to the Netherworld, continuously seeking offerings for the Netherworld to exchange for great power. It is said countless powerful warriors' bones, and even the remains of ancient deities, are buried in the Netherworld, soaked long-term by the Netherworld's deathly aura, becoming extraordinarily powerful. This Netherworld Evil Bone was one such frighteningly penetrating residence of the Netherworld, extracted from the spinal bone of a fallen deity. The horrific Netherworld Evil Bone emerged, death gas towering to the sky, as if a demon god descended, bearing an air of unrivaled menace, emitting black light, causing space to tremble airflow becoming so oppressive that breathing freely was impossible. Go! Flaming Six Wings yelled again. Whoosh! The netherworld skeleton fiercely struck toward Xiang Beifei. This strike was terrifyingly powerful. Even Xu Wang's pupil shrank. He knew that such a powerful netherworld skeleton was something he had to dread. Xiang Beifei had already constricted his orifice perception, making it impossible for Flaming Six Wings to lock onto him. But because Xu Wang heavily sealed this space, Xiang Beifei had little space to hide. So, regardless of where he ran, Flaming Six Wings could direct the netherworld skeleton toward his path. Kid, you got lucky once with the dark, but luck won't always be on your side. Let's see how you dodge this time. Flaming Six Wings sneered continuously. Xiang Beifei kept moving swiftly, his speed was fast, constantly changing directions. 9 Nether Sealing Curse. On the other side, Xu Wang immediately started to awaken appendages. The red tendrils grew endlessly, increasing in number, chasing Xiang Beifei from all directions, intending to assist Flaming Six Wings in delivering a fatal blow to Xiang Beifei. The netherworld evil bone, mixed with pervasive corrosive hostility, was about to hit Xiang Beifei, but at that moment, suddenly, without any predictive signs, darkness fell again. The sinister, gleeful expression on Flaming Six Wings' face froze abruptly because he furiously discovered that the netherworld evil bone lost contact with him again. That meant the direction the netherworld evil bone would take next was beyond his control. But the most unfortunate was Xu Wang, because he'd been chasing and cornering Xiang Beifei using his appendages. Those appendages were his organs, and even in darkness, he could control them. Yet, with the onset of darkness, he sensed something was wrong. Xu Wang knew clearly what had happened earlier. That was a more powerful netherworld evil bone compared to the netherworld cold arrow. He knew its might well, and his heart trembled with shock, immediately trying to frantically retract his appendages. However, before he managed to fully retract them, excruciating pain erupted from his tendrils. The pain was soul-splitting, like a bolt between the eyes, as if countless ants bit down, causing them to weaken and shatter. Flaming Six Wings, you reckless fool! Control your bone! Xu Wang shouted in shock and anger, cursing Flaming Six Wings' ancestors profusely. But in the dark, no one heard what he shouted, not even Flaming Six Wings. Xu Wang was utterly horrified because the netherworld evil bone wasn't just destroying his appendages, but crawling up along the tendrils, like maggots on a carcass, leaving him no time to defend. In an instant, all his steel-like tendrils shattered to pieces, and even the red appendages sealing the space vanished. Yet, the corrosive force continued crawling up toward his body from the tendrils. 9 Nether Ghost Beard! Xu Wang growled, unleashing terrifying power from within, as he spun and condensed a pitch-black appendage, far more formidable than his previous red ones, using them to block off the corrosion from the netherworld evil bone. The 9 Nether Ghost Beard was his most powerful tendril, embodying his lifetime's essence. It was the trump card for his breakthrough to the next realm, rarely revealed. But to deal with the netherworld evil bone, he had no choice. If not used, he feared he'd be completely eroded by it. Suddenly, daylight shone again. Yet, at this moment, the most miserable was undoubtedly Xu Wang. All his tendrils were corroded away by the netherworld evil bone. Strangely, when he tried to grow them again, as soon as they emerged, they were promptly corroded. The tendrils wouldn't regenerate. This netherworld bone is quite formidable. I thought you could block it. Xiang Beifei praised. You're dead. Xu Wang trembled with rage, unsure if it was Flaming Six Wings or Xiang Beifei who infuriated him. Under normal circumstances, if Flaming Six Wings used the netherworld evil bone against him, he'd have time to react and avoid it, not giving it a chance to erode him, holding a tenfold assurance to block it. But the darkness came so abruptly, leaving him no time to cope. Flaming Six Wings was almost furious enough to blow his top as well. Realizing that even while teaming up with Xu Wang, Xiang Beifei managed to encounter the dark twice. What kind of luck did this guy have? The flaming six wings originally thought Xiang Beifei was very lucky. But soon he felt something was amiss. If the first nightfall was a coincidence that allowed Xiang Beifei to escape a fatal blow, then what about the second time? Could someone really be so lucky as to avoid a powerful attack twice in a row just by luck? No, no, no. The flaming six wings muttered no several times. The more he thought about it, the more wrong it seemed. Many thoughts flashed through his mind, all concerning Xiang Beifei. Recalling the day and night cycle carefully, the day and night alternation in the land of inheritance occurs abruptly, and no one knows how it happens. Because the land of inheritance has become unusual, with giant spirits and the Black River, rapid day and night changes seem reasonable. All cultivators used to think so. But ever since the Flaming Six Wings planned to use the day and night cycle to control the E-tribe cultivators, things went awry because the first person to predict the day and night cycle was none other than Xiang Beifei. Although Xiang Beifei presented a large array of theories to explain the regularity of the day and night changes, no one could predict the cycle, while Xiang Beifei could specify the exact breathing moments of the changes. Plus, the critical moment when night fell just saved Xiang Beifei's life. If luck was really that good, it would be mind-boggling. Unless the flaming six wings became increasingly shocked, and a possibility gradually emerged in his mind. Then, he looked at Xiang Beifei in disbelief and said, "Are you the one behind the day and night cycle?" "What?" Xu Wang was also stunned by the flaming six wings' words. After thinking carefully, it was like a revelation, and he suddenly understood. With his scheming and cunning, if he couldn't figure this out, he shouldn't be mingling in these circles. "It's you," he growled with gritted teeth. He realized how foolish he looked in those past days, frantically researching the day and night cycle of the land of inheritance, staying up late to meticulously study Xiang Beifei's notes, and even making countless annotations, almost compiling them into a book ready for publication. Now he understood he was played like a monkey by Xiang Beifei. "You actually played us." Both Xu Wang and the Flaming Six Wings, realizing they'd been manipulated by Xiang Beifei all this time, became furious and shouted at him in unison. However, Xiang Beifei didn't respond at all. He neither admitted nor bothered to deny, simply observing Xu Wang and the Flaming Six Wings calmly. Suddenly, it turned dark again. "Don't act rashly. We can't be fooled again." Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings almost shouted this to each other at the same time. This time they were both wiser. Their strengths were nearly identical. If they fought each other in this pitch darkness, they might end up wounding each other, which they'd both suffered from earlier. Although they weren't truly considering each other's well-being, they understood that dealing with Xiang Beifei required them to be on the same side. If they hurt each other again, it might give Xiang Beifei a chance. Therefore, they both slightly held back, shifting to a defensive stance. But at that moment, Xu Wang suddenly noticed something was wrong. Though there was no aura at all, his left tendril felt as if it suffered a tremendous blow with a boom, and he felt like he was hammered bluntly, his whole body staggering. At the same time, daylight suddenly returned. Turning his head, Xu Wang was furious to see Xiang Beifei had, at some point, stealthily approached and slashed at him. What a pity! Yet Xiang Beifei's strike didn't hit Xu Wang's vital points. It wasn't to his fault. Even for him, when the darkness fell, his perception was nearly blocked, and he could only rely on intuition to launch an attack aimed at Xu Wang's vital points. Still, Xu Wang was very vigilant. He had protected himself just in time, and Xiang Beifei's sword struck Xu Wang's tough, black tendrils, merely causing a tremor throughout Xu Wang's body without inflicting actual harm. "You're courting death!" Xu Wang roared in rage, red tendrils once again blooming with harsh, cold lights, striking towards Xiang Beifei. Simultaneously, the Flaming Six Wings also summoned the yellow spring monster again, and the ferocious monster flailed wildly through the skies, continuing its onslaught on Xiang Beifei. Swish! 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 The Flaming Six Wings and Xu Wang cooperated impeccably, seizing the moment at dawn to blast towards Xiang Beifei once more. But Xiang Beifei shrouded the sky once again. This almost made the Flaming Six Wings and Xu Wang spit blood. These were highly powerful cultivators at the peak of heavenly connection. If it were one-on-one, they had confidence in dealing with Xiang Beifei, but Xiang Beifei simply avoided direct confrontation, leaving them unable to unleash their full strength. He's definitely going to look for a way to attack one of us. This was the shared thought of Shuang and the Flaming Six Wings, who simultaneously shifted into a defensive stance. In the darkness where they can't act, self-preservation was key. Darkness fell, light returned, darkness came again, light returned again. Among Xiang Beifei's sweeping sword qi, rampant and unrestrained, slashing down on these two guys, even though he couldn't perceive, he could roughly estimate his attack range. Boom! Boom! All kinds of attacks greeted Shuang and the Flaming Six Wings. The flickering light made Shuang and the Flaming Six Wings incredibly tense, wrapping themselves tightly in powerful defenses, blocking all of Xiang Beifei's attacks. But it was beyond frustrating for the two. Truly powerful. Xiang Beifei frowned slightly. Once these two guys went into defense, they were like tough turtle shells, utterly unbreakable, his attacks always falling short. Meanwhile, the Flaming Six Wings and Shuang had already figured out Xiang Beifei's approach. They weren't just passive punching bags but could also retaliate in the darkness. Shuang and the Flaming Six Wings exchanged a glance. Seizing the moment of darkness, the two moved together, back to back, confronting Xiang Beifei together. "I'll watch the left, you take the right," Shuang shouted to the Flaming Six Wings. Understood. The Flaming Six Wings immediately understood. Knowing they were back to back, they could act with a sense of direction, avoiding the kind of accidents from before. "Yellow Spring overwhelming sky," the Flaming Six Wings roared. Splash! The surging yellow spring water poured down from above, carrying with it a strange and powerful corrosive force, rapidly spreading outward, aiming for an indiscriminate attack. Even if the yellow spring water lost its sensing ability in darkness, with Shuang right behind him, this large-scale counterattack would definitely not harm Shuang. Ghost Whiskers seal the sky. Shuang also performed a coordinated, powerful attack with his Ghost Whiskers, targeting a broad swath, ensuring that from any angle, Xiang Beifei would face their fierce counterattacks. Boom! 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 Xiang Beifei originally intended to cut in from the left side, but he was blocked by the powerful Black Ghost Whiskers. The Black Ghost Whiskers, more formidable than their original form, seemed even more impenetrable. Suddenly releasing a burst of power, they sent Xiang Beifei flying backward. So strong! Xiang Beifei retracted the Candle Dragon Eye, as he too needed to rely on perception to adjust his direction. However, as soon as dawn broke, the Flaming Six Wings discovered that Xiang Beifei had retreated to the banks of the Black River. He immediately seized the opportunity, directing the rolling waters of the Yellow Springs towards Xiang Beifei with a thunderous roar. "Die for me!" Flaming Six Wings roared. Boom! The bone of malevolence within the Yellow Springs water flashed out once more, instantly striking Xiang Beifei. Unable to withstand the blow, Xiang Beifei was sent flying out, over the riverbank, and already retreating above the Black River. Flaming Six Wings and Shuang felt immensely relieved watching Xiang Beifei. Fighting him had become utterly frustrating. They now only wanted to kill Xiang Beifei, caring little about the Dao embryo. And now Xiang Beifei, being knocked towards the Black River, faced only one consequence. That was being pulled and dragged into the Black River by its mysterious devouring force. 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters. Xiang Beifei was sent flying a full 30 meters before coming to a stop. Yet quickly, both Flaming Six Wings and Shuang's pupils shrank, because the imagined scene of Xiang Beifei falling into the water did not occur. He was actually floating in the air, standing on the water surface. The Black River, which could engulf heavenly connection experts, had no effect on Xiang Beifei. How is this possible? Shuang and Flaming Six Wings were utterly shocked. They had already witnessed the power of the Black River. It was the very obstacle preventing them from reaching Bone Mountain's desert stone cave. They had tried various methods, using spiritual powers or people, even a small stone. Anything leaving the riverbank for over 3 meters would be dragged into the water without even a splash. Yet, the terrifying tearing force was ineffective against Xiang Beifei. You actually have a way to stand on the river? Shuang was shocked beyond belief. How could this be done? Flaming Six Wings was equally astonished. Spiritual sincerity, Xiang Beifei said seriously. Only with a heart of light and honest intention can one stand on the Black River. Sincerity? Shuang and Flaming Six Wings exchanged bewildered looks. That's right. One must have reverence for the divine. Accept its test sincerely. Be tolerant, loving, generous, and hold the world in one's heart to gain divine approval. Xiang Beifei spoke with earnestness. Why does this sound so familiar? Shuang felt as though he'd heard these words in a place devoted to divinity. Meanwhile, Flaming Six Wings, flushed with anger and shame, shouted, "Bewitching nonsense! I'm not buying your deceit." "Oh? You think I'm deceiving?" Xiang Beifei asked curiously. "You?" Flaming Six Wings was so furious that he almost scorched his flesh wings with anger. Shuang glanced at Flaming Six Wings and quickly caught on, his expression turning peculiar. The words Xiang Beifei spoke were once slogans Flaming Six Wings used to attract followers. The notions of light, love, tolerance, and generosity. These were the noble virtues Flaming Six Wings, as the divine envoy of light, promoted. Who would have thought Xiang Beifei would repeat Flaming Six Wings' words? "You dare play us for fools?" Flaming Six Wings shouted angrily. "Strange, the one promoting a big-hearted, loving character thinks I'm lying? I thought the moon god race was pure." Xiang Beifei shrugged. Flaming Six Wings clenched his fists, feeling openly insulted. Shuang suddenly remembered something and whispered, "Don't let him mislead us. Maybe the Black River's power has failed." Flaming Six Wings realized this too, but they remained extremely cautious, not daring to rush over directly. Flaming Six Wings looked down, found a stone, and kicked it. Swoosh! The stone made a sharp sound as it flew through the air towards Xiang Beifei. Whoosh! The stone flew tens of meters away. Xiang Beifei tilted his body, dodging the stone. The stone can reach his location. Shuang and Flaming Six Wings were invigorated. For safety, Shuang extended an untouched tentacle from his back, reaching swiftly towards Xiang Beifei. This tentacle was merely a probe. If dragged into the Black River, he would immediately sever it for safety. The tentacle quickly extended tens of meters, coiling towards Xiang Beifei, once again dodged by Xiang Beifei. But whether it could hit Xiang Beifei was not crucial. The crucial point was that his tentacle could reach Xiang Beifei's location. The Black River's power really has failed, Shuang said excitedly. If the Black River failed, it meant access to Bone Mountain's Desert Stone Cave was possible. Flaming Six Wings' face twisted into a sinister smile. "Wretched human, did you really think we were fools? So magnanimous. Turns out it's the Black River's failure. Your deception won't be so easy now." Whoosh! Whoosh! Flaming Six Wings and Shuang both immediately leaped into the sky, jumping from the Black River's banks towards Xiang Beifei at the center of the river, cautiously swinging a few spiritual powers at Xiang Beifei. Even the spiritual powers weren't absorbed by the Black River, providing complete peace of mind this time. "Oh, I fooled myself into loneliness. I can't deceive them." Xiang Beifei turned and ran. "You still want to escape?" Shuang and Flaming Six Wings harbored deep hatred for Xiang Beifei. How could they let him escape now? The two immediately joined forces, and a violent aura spread out. Underworld overflows the sky. Ghost whiskers seal the heavens. Boom! Shuang's 9 nether ghost beard violently surged forth, like steel cables filling the sky, clashing with each other and producing explosive bursts of brilliant black light. "Join forces!" Shuang shouted. "All right." Flaming Six Wings understood, and the overwhelming and eerie sticks immediately clung to Shuang's 9 nether ghost beard. Both of them were powerful masters at the late stage of heavenly connection, terrifyingly strong, and they knew each other's abilities well. so their coordination was seamless. The Styx, with its powerful corrosive nature, was precisely controlled by flaming six wings, sweeping layer by layer, enveloping all of Xu Wang's 9 nether ghost beard with a layer of Styx. The ghosts within Styx howled sharply, but did not attack Xu Wang's ghost beard, instead fixing their fierce gaze on Xiang Beifei. At this moment, Xu Wang's powerful ghost beard took the lead, like a massive octopus with thousands of ghost beards, navigating the surging Styx with ease, and when it rushed to the river surface, it immediately enveloped all directions once again. This time, with both the Styx and Xu Wang's tentacles, they could launch large-scale attacks. Even if Xiang Beifei controlled the darkness again, he couldn't make them mistakenly harm each other like before, because their attacks were now fused together. The tentacles roared, arriving in an instant, forcing towards Xiang Beifei. "Let's see where you'll run this time." Xu Wang sneered coldly. Even if Xiang Beifei wanted to rely on orifice perception to escape, it would be very difficult. Their attack range was too vast, covering almost half of the Blackwater River surface, and even if they couldn't lock onto Xiang Beifei, he was still within their attack range. Immediately, a surge of breath soil rose around Xiang Beifei, like a gigantic curtain, blocking all sides. Meanwhile, the 9 nether ghost beard along with the Styx water instantly smashed down, enveloping Xiang Beifei within. Boom! 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 Horrifying waves exploded from the Blackwater River surface, the violent spiritual power ripples spreading outwards. Such massive crashing sounds startled other E-tribe cultivators who were fighting at the riverbank. They even ignored their opponents, stopping in shock and looking towards the Blackwater River in astonishment. At this moment, the Blackwater River resembled a terrifying slaughterhouse, every inch of the riverbank covered by the 9 nether ghost beard and Styx, the restless ripple of spiritual power still reverberating ceaselessly, as these ripples would tear apart even a powerful figure at the early stage of heavenly connection if encountered. How can it be so terrifying? Fu Qiuzi watched the Blackwater River surface with surprise. This level of battle was beyond his imagination, far beyond his ability to interfere. He feared even if he went there, he wouldn't last 3 seconds before dying violently. Flaming Six Wings and Xu Wang are still too powerful. Guansong couldn't help but exclaim. In his view, if Xiang Beifei were facing Flaming Six Wings or Xu Wang alone, he might still have a chance, but now with Flaming Six Wings and Xu Wang joining forces, the fierce momentum was too overwhelming. A single Xiang Beifei probably had no way to withstand it. Yet Kana and other meat-winged monsters and ghost mustache of remnant visage wore victorious smiles on their faces. As long as Xiang Beifei died, other E-tribe cultivators by the Blackwater River would be like a scattered rabble. They could ravage them however they wanted. At this moment by the Blackwater River, Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings stood shoulder to shoulder, brimming with confidence. For Xiang Beifei was completely enveloped under their Styx and ghost whiskers. With such a powerful attack, even with wings, he couldn't escape. Finally killed him. Flaming Six Wings spat viciously. A pity about his body. Xu Wang valued Xiang Beifei's body, knowing how unique Xiang Beifei was. Then his body's resilience must be exceptionally strong, potentially usable for parasitism. But Xiang Beifei was really crafty, forcing them to go all out to kill him. "Did your Styx swallow him? Can I have the corpse?" Xu Wang asked. Flaming Six Wings glanced at Xu Wang, coldly responding, "Are you kidding me?" The moon god race, devoting themselves to the Styx, meant that anything devoured by the Styx couldn't be separated, as it now belonged as an offering to the Styx. Xu Wang realized this and added, "At least summon his bones over. I want to personally watch him be corroded and lose his sanity bit by bit to feel satisfied. I would do the same even without you asking." Flaming Six Wings was eager to see Xiang Beifei dragged under the river by those skeletons in the Styx. He immediately surged the Styx, searching for new offerings within it. But at that moment, Flaming Six Wings' expression suddenly froze. His look turned incredulous. "Impossible! Impossible!" Flaming Six Wings murmured. Xu Wang also sensed something amiss and turned his head. In the rolling yellow springs, strange golden patterns suddenly appeared, their origin unknown. These patterns were mystical, continually changing and rearranging, like intricate inscriptions, floating in the Yellow Springs. When counted carefully, there were a total of 77 divine patterns. The Yellow Springs monsters, which were fiercely roaring before, suddenly became anxious and uneasy upon seeing these 77 divine patterns. These monsters had lost self-awareness, driven only by a savage instinct to kill. Yet now they displayed an expression of fear. This surprised Flaming Six Wings greatly. When did the Yellow Springs monsters ever become afraid? Yet when he attempted to control the Yellow Springs water, he discovered it was as if something forcibly suppressed it, rendering it uncontrollable. Even the Yellow Springs monsters were floating in the water, unable to move. Xiang Beifei was also in the Yellow Springs, his body submerged, as if he had become one with it. But the difference was, Xiang Beifei's demeanor remained calm, as if nothing had happened. Yellow Springs water truly formidable, Xiang Beifei praised. He wasn't dead. He hadn't been assimilated by the Yellow Springs. He could still speak. Flaming Six Wings looked at Xiang Beifei in a mixture of shock and anger. No cultivator has ever remained conscious after being swallowed by the Yellow Springs. Yet even more bizarre events were yet to come. Xiang Beifei reached out a hand in the Yellow Springs, gently waved it, and the Yellow Springs suddenly parted like something had cleaved it, dividing left and right. Xiang Beifei then stepped out of the Yellow Springs, completely clean. The formidable corrosive Yellow Springs hadn't even dirted his clothes. Flaming Six Wings, your Yellow Springs have failed. This is impossible. No offering could ever walk out after being devoured by the Yellow Springs. Flaming Six Wings muttered. When deploying the Yellow Springs against enemies, they were seeking offerings for the Yellow Springs. How could it let an offering slip away? Yet Xiang Beifei walked out like that, stepping on an ancient steel, worn smooth by time. But now, the 77 divine patterns shimmered with a golden light on the steel, with an irrefutable divine might. Do you really think the Black Water River has lost its devouring power? Xiang Beifei calmly smiled at Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings, still in the center of the Black Water River. Both Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings felt a jolt in their hearts. Only now did they realize that Xiang Beifei was standing at the edge of the Black Water River. He had come ashore. Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings suddenly felt an ominous premonition, realizing something. Quick! Run! Xu Wang shouted urgently. Too late! Xiang Beifei snapped his fingers. Buzz! The golden array patterns on the Yu Divine Steel dimmed instantly. Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings had just started rushing towards the riverbank, even though they were fast, needing less than a breath to reach the shore from the center of the river. However, it was still too late. A terrifying, irresistible pulling force suddenly surged from the Black Water River, clinging to them and dragging both into the Black Water River. No! Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings screamed in horror, their voices filled with terror and despair. Splash! Splash! Neither the Yellow Springs water filling the sky nor the all-encompassing Nine-Nether Ghost Beard could escape this dreadful devouring force, instantly engulfing the bodies of Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings. The most eerie thing was that despite the Black Water River devouring such immense things, it didn't cause any splash, only a slight ripple, but the river surface quickly returned to calm. Originally, with the previous lessons of day-night alternation, Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings had already been quite cautious. Even when fighting on the Blackwater River, they cautiously probed. Yet they still underestimated Xiang Beifei. Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings thought Xiang Beifei was deceiving them, preventing them from realizing the Blackwater River was already accessible. But in reality, Xiang Beifei made them think he was bluffing them, thus leading them to run with him onto the Blackwater River. Xiang Beifei anticipated their anticipation and then used the Yu Divine Steel to trap and kill them directly in the Blackwater River. At this moment on the other side, Ghost Mustache of Remnant Visage, the Meat-Winged Monster, and the Demon Race people, along with other E-Trib people, all ceased slaughtering, completely stunned. The terrifying waves from the confrontation of three masters on the Blackwater River had just left them shaken. Every cultivator witnessed how Xu Wang and Flaming Six Wings met their demise in the river. None of them anticipated that Xiang Beifei, alone against two late-stage Heavenly Connection Masters, could actually kill the incredibly powerful flaming Six Wings and Shuwang. This was simply too shocking. Divine Envoy, he actually died. Kana, a mid-stage heavenly connection, was left in blank shock. In her mind, the Six-Winged Divine Envoy was an invincible existence in the heavenly connection realm. Even Shuwang might not be able to defeat the Divine Envoy. Yet, she never expected Xiang Beifei's strength to exceed her imagination, to counterkill while fighting 1 against 2. With Shuwang and Flaming Six Wings dead, all the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage and meat-winged monsters were plunged into shock. However, at this moment, Xiang Beifei already turned his head, his gaze shifting to those ghost mustache of Remnant Visage and meat-winged monsters who bore faces of fright. As these ghost mustache of Remnant Visage and meat-winged monsters faced Xiang Beifei directly, they were momentarily startled, terrified. With their leaders dead, where was there any will to fight left? Run! Who knows who shouted this, but the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage and meat-winged monsters snapped back to their senses and immediately began to flee. No matter the circumstances, even if this place was blocked, they could no longer linger on the banks of the Blackwater River. It was no longer their place to stand. Whoosh! 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 The cultivators of these 3 races leapt into the air. And just then, the sky suddenly darkened again. The surroundings instantly fell into endless gloom, sending a shiver through all the E-Trib cultivators, especially the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage, meat-winged monsters, and demon race cultivators, all sensing an ominous premonition. In the darkness, Kana ran the fastest. Even though the sky darkened, she knew the direction of Giant Spirit Village, knowing running there was her best chance to survive. But the sky suddenly brightened. Kana's pupils shrank. Before her already stood a figure blocking her path. Xiang Beifei, Kana exclaimed in shock, but she could barely hear that voice because she was stunned to realize her head abruptly flew up. Without any forewarning, Xiang Beifei's sword chi had just sliced through her, not even giving her time to react. Her divine soul was even frozen, forcibly extracted, as her consciousness gradually faded away. What happened? On the other side, the demon race's Yihun heard Kana's voice, immediately turned his head, wanting to see what had happened to Kana. But the sky darkened again, and then Yihun only felt a pain in his head, followed by a loss of consciousness, his orifice soul also directly taken away. Whoosh! 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 Xiang Beifei's figure was like a phantom in the darkness, disappearing the instant it went dark, reappearing when the sky brightened, swinging his sword, the sword chi flashing, killing every single meat-winged monster and ghost mustache of Remnant Visage. Furthermore, Xiang Beifei did not spare any of those demon race cultivators either. These 3 races all intended to attack him. There was no need to hold back. Ah! No! Screams resounded on the banks of the Blackwater River, filling the hearts of all the E-Trib cultivators with dread. The demon tentacle race and the other 3 races collapsed like a mountain, wanting to turn and flee upon hearing their companions fall. But there was nowhere to run here, for darkness clung to them like a shadow, possibly making them crash into other cultivators with a few steps. Puff! 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 The sky darkened, then brightened. Sword chi swept across. Each alternation of day and night was accompanied by the sound of screams and surely took away a cultivator's life. That sound was like a rhythmic dirge, playing a death symphony between night and day. A quarter of an hour later, the banks of the Blackwater River finally brightened completely. Other E-Trib cultivators who were initially fighting Ghost Mustache of Remnant Visage, meat-winged monsters, and the demon race only now discovered the ground littered with corpses, the scent of blood lingering as if it were a great slaughterhouse. They're all dead. So powerful. Led by Fu Qiuzi, the E-Trib cultivators looked at one another, not anticipating the situation would be like this. The previous battle was incredibly arduous. Even with the 3 races combined, they held an absolute advantage, countless tentacles and river Styx water creating immense trouble for them. Yet, with Xiang Beifei's intervention, the battle already settled. And just then, behind these E-Trib cultivators, An ear-splitting roar of terror erupted. Mustache trash. Wing trash. Demon trash. These ear-deafening trash talk sounded, causing a ringing in the ears of the E-Trib cultivators as they turned around, almost scared out of their wits, because they discovered that several giant spirits had unknowingly crouched by the riverbank, peeking at the battle here. These giant spirits looked rather sneaky, lying flat on the ground, with some even resting their chins on their hands, looking extremely excited. Even when crouching, they were over 100 meters tall, truly terrifying. Initially, this group of giant spirits showed up by the Blackwater River to watch the battle without anyone knowing, and they watched in this very strange posture. But soon the cultivators understood that, to the giant spirits, watching them fight was like watching ants fighting, so it was normal to watch while lying down. Each cultivator's forehead was sweating profusely, fearing that a giant spirit might rush over and slap them. The consequences would be unimaginable. However, the giant spirits didn't seem to participate. They just whispered to each other, and when they saw Xiang Beifei winning, they happily clapped their hands. Then there was a bang, 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 the applause shaking the E-Trib cultivators almost to the point of wetting themselves. Xiang Beifei calmly waved his hand at the massive giant spirits, signaling them not to make a fuss. A giant spirit laughed, reaching out a huge hand to high-five Xiang Beifei, but its hand was just too large, like a sheer cliff of Five-Finger Mountain, and Xiang Beifei helplessly gave him a high five. At this moment, a voice came from afar. It was the old giant spirit calling them, and the group of excited giant spirits hurriedly got up and boom, 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 ran back to the village. The E-Trib cultivators were scared again. Xiang Beifei actually has such a close relationship with the giant spirits. Was he just celebrating with the giant spirits by high-fiving? Could it be that the giant spirits have acknowledged him? This set off a commotion among all the E-Trib cultivators. Those cultivators not originally from Zhajiang Stronghold looked at Xiang Beifei with astonishment and fear, afraid that with just one command from Xiang Beifei, the giant spirits might capture them. Meanwhile, those who always stood by Zhajiang Stronghold like Fu Qiuzi's eyes lit up. Because their chief could communicate with the giant spirits, this meant there was hope of leaving here. Maybe the giant spirits had already told Xiang Beifei how to leave. Thankfully, we've always followed Zhajiang Stronghold. They couldn't have been more grateful. After Xiang Beifei eliminated all the ghost mustache of remnant visage and meat-winged monsters, he began to clear the battlefield. This time, the ghost whiskers of remnant visage, meat-winged monsters, and demon race suffered heavy losses, considering they dispatched many experts to seize the divine inheritance, and now all were killed. It was a great loss. But for Xiang Beifei it was different. Xiaohe swiftly shuttled around with Era, collecting the orifice souls of experts like Kana, which in Xiaohe's eyes were all dazzling spiritual power crystals, extremely precious. Speaking of which, the Yu Divine Steel is indeed powerful. Xiang Beifei silently concealed the Yu Divine Steel and put it away. This thing could not only suppress the Blackwater River, but also the yellow spring water unleashed by Flaming Six Wings. Just now, Flaming Six Wings' yellow spring seemed powerful and formidable, but once the steel appeared, it was directly suppressed. Looks like I need to pay a visit to the meat-winged monster's lair next time. Xiang Beifei couldn't help but ponder. Since the meat-winged monster is a race that sacrifices itself to the yellow spring in exchange for powerful strength, it's straightforward for Xiang Beifei to deal with them, find the end of the yellow spring, and dive into it to stir up a storm. As he was thinking, he suddenly remembered that there seemed to be some unfinished battle, and he turned his head to look. Li Qianluo and the night demon were still entangled in the rolling demonic qi, the terrifying aura continuously trembling, seemingly unresolved. But at this moment, there seemed to be an angry shout from within. Li Qianluo, stop pushing me too far. That was the voice of the night demon. Now sounding both startled and angry, he seemed a bit flustered. Where do you get so much nonsense? Li Qianluo snorted back. Li Qianluo, I know your true identity. Don't push me. Are you threatening me again? Buzz. A strange fluctuation instantly covered the demonic qi. Within that mass of demonic qi, Li Qianluo's presence became even more powerful, instantly blocking out all sound, so no one could perceive what was happening inside. But the powerful fluctuations grew more intense, the rolling demonic chi initially like a thick turtle shell, isolating the battlefield. At this moment, the demonic chi began to wither. Crack, crack, and cracks appeared on the surface, as if brilliant white light began to seep through from inside. Boom! A violent explosion shattered the demonic chi, its powerful aftershocks sweeping over all the cultivators, forcing everyone to step back several paces. You had to seek trouble. Li Qianluo rubbed her fist as she charged out and hastily shouted, "Xiao Bei! I'm here!" She quickly rushed out of the aftermath of the battle, rolled up her sleeves preparing to fight Xu Wang and the flaming six wings, but soon she frowned. "Huh? Xiao Bei? Where are they?" Li Qianluo asked. "They're already done for," Xiang Beifei replied. "Huh? You took them out? Weren't we supposed to let me handle it?" "You're responsible for the night demon," Xiang Beifei said. Li Qianluo blinked in surprise, then looked at the corpses all around and exclaimed, "Wow! Xiao Bei, I thought you were very strong, but you're even stronger than I imagined." She cheerfully gave a thumbs up to Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei turned his gaze to the back. Behind Li Qianluo, the night demon was already lying on the ground, lifeless, clearly slain. It seems this girl was holding back. Xiang Beifei looked with surprise at the night demon's corpse. The night demon was a master of the late heavenly connection stage, far from ordinary strength, yet at this moment, his orifice soul was obliterated. In such a short time, Li Qianluo was actually able to slay the night demon. Her strength was indeed remarkable. All things considered, Li Qianluo's strength was at least at the late heavenly connection stage. But why did the night demon say those things earlier? Does this girl have some unspeakable secret? Very well. It's not bad to have slaughtered them all. I hate these three races. Li Qianluo stretched lazily, then glanced at the other cultivators and asked, "By the way, are you all injured?" Quickly, now that the common enemy is eliminated, everyone quickly tend to your injuries. The battle just now was extremely brutal. The ghost mustache of Remnant Visage and the meat-winged monster were both very powerful species, especially the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage. They belong to a type that's hard to kill, their tentacles endlessly regenerating, making it difficult for other E-Trib cultivators to inflict any harm, and many cultivators lost their lives to them instead. Li Qianluo enthusiastically ran over to start healing everyone, while Xiang Beifei used his return to the original state ability to restore the injured cultivators. His restoration ability is quite formidable, taking on the majority of the healing. As Xiang Beifei passed by Guan Baishan, he noticed his arm was broken off, so he walked over and restored his arm. "Thank you, Chief Xiang. I apologize, earlier I was blinded by hatred." Guan Baishan of the Guan Tu clan looked tired, his expression filled with guilt. The death of Guan Qianqing was a severe blow to him. After learning the truth, he had been fighting hard against the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage, seeking to avenge his master. "It's fine as long as the truth is clarified. You just need to know we have a common enemy." Xiang Beifei saw Guan Baishan had been protecting his master Guan Qianqing's body, so he restored Guan Qianqing's severed head. His orifice soul was destroyed. "I can't bring him back. I can only restore his body to completeness, hoping he can rest in peace." Xiang Beifei didn't mind Guan Baishan coming to challenge him. Strictly speaking, Guan Baishan was just a pawn, and the death of his master was most unjust. "Thank you, Chief Xiang. I will never forget this grace. If you need our Guan Tu clan's help in the future, we will do our utmost to cooperate." Guan Baishan was extremely grateful, bowing deeply to Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei left here and walked toward the night demon's corpse, carefully perceiving, but did not sense the presence of 3 brick fragments. According to the old giant spirit, Xiang Beifei's grandfather Xiang Qingde had 2 brick fragments, one of which was on the night demon and Li Qianluo. He turned his gaze to Li Qianluo, who was helping to heal the E-Trib cultivators in the distance, frowning slightly. It seemed Li Qianluo had obtained the 3 fragments from the night demon. So what should be done next? Should he take them from her? So far, Li Qianluo and Xiang Beifei's relationship has been quite harmonious, without any conflicts. It wouldn't make sense to just snatch something away. So Xiang Beifei decided to find an opportunity to talk to her later and ask about the brick. After cleaning the battlefield, Xiaohe had already obtained a pile of Orifice souls. These Orifice souls came from the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage, Meat-Winged Monster, and the Demon Race, totaling 56 spiritual power crystals at the early Heavenly Connection stage and 18 at the mid-stage. As for the scattered Orifice souls from the Orifice Transforming Stage Master, Xiaohe wasn't interested, too lazy to keep count, and gave them all to Era as snacks. Awoo, awoo! Era grinned so wide it looked like his mouth was crooked, chewing on a spiritual power crystal as if it were a candy bean, crunchy indeed. After a while, he regretted, awoo awoo, they didn't manage to get their hands on any spiritual power crystals from the late Heavenly Connection stage, which was still somewhat disappointing, especially with Shuwang and Flaming Six Wings, both of whom were dragged into the Blackwater River, and they didn't have time to extract their Orifice souls. They're not dead, just trapped in the bitter sea. It's almost like being dead, though, Xiang Beifei said. The Blackwater River, also known as the Bitter Sea by the old giant spirit, is a place full of endless torment. The giant spirit race was once suppressed in the Bitter Sea, which is filled with the sinister and powerful Ruishui River, constantly eroding the cultivators' souls. It triggers the most painful memories of the cultivators and endlessly replays them before their eyes, making them experience agony repeatedly, ensuring they live forever in terrifying pain. Unless a person naturally lacks the perception of pain, once they fall into the bitter sea, they can never turn back. The Ruishui River here is only a small part. The old giant spirit mentioned that the real bitter sea is in the Edge Corner airspace, vast and boundless and equally bizarre. After the giant spirit race came out from the Edge Corner airspace, he took a part of the Ruishui River from the bitter sea to protect this place. Yumong blinked and said, "You? Not really. I never intended to let Shuwang and Flaming Six Wings go. Xiaohe, you might try jumping into the Blackwater River to find them," Xiang Beifei replied. Xiaohe widened his eyes. "Woof, woof, woof. Your skin is thick. You see that the mound spirit can't hurt you? Yellow spring water is ineffective. Do you think the Ruishui River can stop you?" Xiang Beifei replied. Xiaohe scratched his forehead with his paw, feeling a little embarrassed. Usually, Xiaohe doesn't have many flashy combat abilities, unable to directly intimidate others with powerful aura, and no one has ever been scared by Xiaohe's aura, but nothing can injure Xiaohe either. Of course, if the mischievous Xiaohe wanted to fight, many cultivators couldn't withstand it, especially since no one can endure Xiaohe suddenly smacking them on the head with a brick. "Woof!" Xiaohe asked Xiang Beifei if he needed to go with him. "I can't go. If I were to go down, I would first need to use the Yu Divine Steel to eliminate the influence of the Blackwater River, so there's a chance they might come back out. After all, those two are not simple," Xiang Beifei explained. Xiaohe held up 3 paws to show he understood, then turned around happily, ready to jump into the Blackwater River. "Wait, take this." Xiang Beifei handed the brick to Xiaohe. With the brick in hand, the world is mine. Xiaohe took the brick, ran to the riverbank, dipped his tail into the Blackwater River, touched a bit of the Ruishui River, and noticed the white fur on his tail was still shiny, with no signs of corrosion. He arrogantly wriggled his butt, then dove headfirst into the Blackwater River. Xiaohe swam back and forth in the Blackwater River, which, though no spiritual power could fly over, did not drag him down. Once he confirmed it was safe, he dove boldly into the Blackwater River. What happens at the bottom of the Blackwater River? Xiang Beifei couldn't be certain. It could block perception untouchable. What exactly to do after going down there would depend on Xiaohe's improvisation. Those in the midst of suffering, Shuwang and Flaming Six Wings, definitely couldn't handle a brick from Xiaohe. All the fellow Taoists have returned to normal, and by the look of things, they should be fine. Li Qianluo came over, stretched lazily, appearing very satisfied. Xiang Beifei continued sitting on a stone by the Blackwater River, turned to look at Li Qianluo, and asked, Can I ask you something? What is it? Li Qianluo sat on the stone next to Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei hesitated for a moment and asked, You're not from the Treely race, are you? Li Qianluo blinked and asked, Why ask this all of a sudden? What the night demon said before he died. I heard it, Xiang Beifei said. Li Qianluo pouted angrily. That big mouth. So, which race's cultivator are you? Xiang Beifei asked. Li Qianluo lifted one foot, propped her right elbow on her knee, rested her chin on her hand, tilted her head, and looked at Xiang Beifei with a grin. Is it that important which race's cultivator I am? Just like I know you're not from the Kangji Abyss, but I never pointed it out. I never claimed to be from the Kangji Abyss, Xiang Beifei said. Li Qianluo furrowed her brows. Her eyes rolled thoughtfully, muttering, Seems like it, huh? The first time she met Xiang Beifei, he was grilling a fried sauce rat, and she came over to ask if he was from the Kangji Abyss. I made a mistake. At that time, your aura was strange, clearly resembling friends from the Kangji Abyss. If I hadn't later realized the Kangji Abyss wouldn't have your kind of ability, I'd still be treating you as a friend from there. Li Qianluo suddenly remembered something and said, No, I mistook you, but you didn't correct me. Instead, you went along with my misunderstanding, pretending to be a cultivator from the Kangji Abyss. Obviously, you're hiding something from me too, right? Let's just call it even. Xiang Beifei gave no reply. So where are you from? Why does the night demon fear you so much? Xiang Beifei inquired. Li Qianluo chuckled and said, Where I come from doesn't matter. The important thing is, we get along well, don't we? Xiang Beifei smiled, not pressing further. Everyone has their own secrets, and if one doesn't want to talk about it, dropping the subject is for the best. After a moment, Xiang Beifei asked again, Did you get the 3 fragments from the night demon? Li Qianluo was slightly taken aback, her eyes showing a hint of intrigue as she said, You know about the Saint Stone fragments? What do you think? It's strange. How do you know? It's a long story. Keep it short then. Perception. Li Qianluo was surprised. That's strange. What's so strange about it? Because I can't even perceive the Saint Stone fragments on the night demon, Li Qianluo said. That's just you. Xiang Beifei didn't intend to reveal anything about the old giant spirit. Li Qianluo placed a finger on her chin, saying, Your perception ability is that strong? Strange. I don't remember the human race having such formidable perception abilities. Xiang Beifei raised an eyebrow. Li Qianluo grinned. That's right. I guessed you're from the human race. That mysterious Hanxia human race that disappeared over 3,000 years ago. You've always been stuff of legends. She couldn't help but reach out and poke Xiang Beifei's arm. What are you doing? I'm poking to see if the muscle of the human race is firm. I've always been curious about the vanished human race. You look the same as me. Why not poke yourself? Xiang Beifei said. We're a bit different. Li Qianluo chuckled. How so? I'm not part of the human race. Li Qianluo blinked. Xiang Beifei fell into a slight contemplation, then asked again, Where did you and the night demon obtain the Saint Stone fragments from? Li Qianluo shook her head. Sorry, I can't tell you. After a moment, she curiously asked, Why are you so concerned with the Saint Stone fragments? How much do you know about them? They're important to me. Xiang Beifei didn't hide it. They're related to my family, so I've been searching for them. I see. Li Qianluo nodded thoughtfully, and then openly took out several Saint Stone fragments. The slate in her hand splintered into 8 pieces, and although she pieced them together, they merely fit together and still had cracks. She gently pried it a little, and the slate broke apart. Restoring this thing is quite problematic. Perhaps some special object is needed to repair it, or strong power. In any case, it's beyond what our strength can achieve. Li Qianluo then stacked the pieces of slate like building blocks. What kind of power could shatter a slate like this? Xiang Beifei couldn't help but ask. I'm pondering it too, understanding that the Saint Stone is a legendary and extremely powerful artifact. Li Qianluo said with great astonishment while discussing the slate. How powerful? Xiang Beifei queried. I can't describe it, as I haven't seen it unleash its power, just heard about it. But you can imagine that the Saint Stone could change the world, and that's not an exaggeration, Li Qianluo earnestly said. Can just a piece of slate change the world? Xiang Beifei exclaimed. It's not a slate. It's called the Saint Stone. It's not just one, it's 5. Legend says it's something that even the gods of the Edge Corner airspace fear, that it can restrain the gods. Having 5 means having the power to confront the gods. Its power is very mysterious and needs a special method to be unleashed you wouldn't understand. Li Qianluo sternly corrected him. Even gods fear 5 pieces of slate? Yes, if you possess 5 bricks, the power would be terrifying. But it's shattered. Li Qianluo didn't know how to respond to this question. Do you think it was destroyed by a divine being? Xiang Beifei asked. Impossible. The divine beings in the Edge Corner airspace cannot destroy it. Li Qianluo flatly denied. You seem to know a lot about the power of divine beings? Well. Li Qianluo hesitated, then blinked his eyes and said, Someone in my family described it to me. They once went to the Edge Corner airspace and witnessed the clash of divine beings. Speaking of which, Li Qianluo suddenly remembered something and asked, What about your broken stone sword? Its aura belongs to the Edge Corner airspace. You've been to Edge Corner airspace. It was given by a senior. Who is this senior? Li Qianluo curiously pursued. Did he go to the Edge Corner airspace? Or is he a divine being from Edge Corner airspace? I cannot disclose, Xiang Beifei said. Li Qianluo shrugged indifferently, but did not ask further. At this moment, ripples suddenly appeared in the Ruishui River, and Xiaohei's head emerged from the water, excitedly paddling on the surface. Woof, woof, woof. Xiaohei stretched out its paw, revealing 2 spiritual power crystals imbued with immense power. These were spiritual power crystals from the late stage of heavenly connection. It seems Xiaohei successfully defeated the tormented Shuang and flaming 6 wings, having completely resolved them. Xiaohei quickly swam to the shore from the Ruishui River, shaking his head clean of the Ruishui River's water. Despite the dreaded Ruishui River that could intimidate cultivators, it hadn't harmed even a hair on Xiaohei. But Xiaohei didn't just obtain 2 late heavenly connection spiritual power crystals from the Ruishui River, but also more than 10 early and middle heavenly connection ones. Woof, woof, woof. Xiaohei indicated that, at the riverbed, he also saw Cao Chenyu and Zhao Yingguang still in agonizing torment, and he released them as well. Both Cao Chenyu and Shuang had transplanted human system Dao embryos inside them, especially Shuang, who had 7 systems transplanted. However, when facing Xiang Beifei earlier, he felt Xiang Beifei was too familiar with system capabilities, so he didn't use them. But even without using them, they were still retrieved by Xiaohei. Xiaohei flew to Xiang Beifei's side, curiously looking at the fragmented brick full of cracks in Li Qianluo's hand, woofing towards Xiang Beifei. Can I take a look at your sacred stone fragment? Xiang Beifei asked Li Qianluo. Sure. Li Qianluo wasn't worried about Xiang Beifei snatching it away, so he handed the broken brick to Xiang Beifei. A glow appeared in Xiang Beifei's hand, and the aura of return to the original state acted on the brick. But he quickly found that return to the original state couldn't be used to repair the brick, as the brick was impervious to the aura of return to the original state. It's useless. Something that can restrain divine beings cannot be repaired by you, by cultivators of our realm, Li Qianluo said. Xiang Beifei did not respond, only pondered slightly. After a moment, he suddenly thought of something and signaled Xiaohei. You knock on the brick and pass the golden formation pattern to me. Li Qianluo couldn't see Xiaohei's presence, so it was better for Xiaohei to perform it on the brick. Xiang Beifei didn't want Li Qianluo to know he had 2 bricks to avoid trouble. He just wanted to give it a try. Woof! Xiaohei knocked on the brick behind Xiang Beifei, and the golden formation pattern immediately spread along the brick onto Xiang Beifei, quickly flowing through his fingers to the fragmented brick. Buzz! A mystical humming sound, distant and ancient, primitive and vast, as if from an ancient strike crossing through the boundless times, causing one's soul to shake. Li Qianluo involuntarily shivered, then stared in shock at the fragmented brick in Xiang Beifei's hand. The cracks on the brick suddenly started to emit golden light, radiant and pure, like molten gold coating the cracks. Immediately, 8 small fragments, as if melting, continuously devoured the formation pattern from Xiang Beifei. More and more golden formation patterns flowed from Xiang Beifei to the cracks, and then suddenly, there was a crisp resonance. Buzz! Li Qianluo was startled by this sound, jumping back several steps, seemingly very apprehensive. At this moment, the cracks on the sacred stone in Xiang Beifei's hand completely disappeared, restored to a simple, plain rectangular brick.